Takumi is summoned to another world by mistake, but he cannot return to his original world. However, in return, he gains incredible skills and decides to live in this new world. The episode begins with the spirit of a person named Takumi who finds himself in an unknown place. Suddenly surrounded by light, a woman named Nolan, a sorceress capable of summoning anyone to any location, speaks to him. She explains that he was accidentally summoned to Midgard along with a group of people. It seems that the summoning, intended to bring others, mistakenly brought him as well. Takumi doesn't understand her at first, so she clarifies that she wanted to summon people randomly from multiple worlds, but the spell she used is very dangerous. The laws of this world are different from those of Earth, and there's a risk of the collapse of Midgard itself. Takumi asks if the others who were summoned are here, and Nolan replies that they are not. The correct targets of the spell should have been safely brought to the Holy Empire of Sidonia. Takumi realizes that it was just an accident, and he asks her to send him back. Nolan becomes flustered because she can't use the spell again, and besides, he no longer has a body to return to. Takumi grows angry, not knowing what to do, and asks her what will happen to him. Nolan tells him he must live a new life as a resident of Midgard. Takumi asks to be sent to Sidonia, but Nolan refuses, saying the Holy Empire of Sidonia is full of problems and that, since he was brought here by mistake, he would be treated poorly there. After feeling guilty, Nolan decides to send him to a different land with her magical support as an apology. She transports him to a fantasy world similar to video games, novels, and anime. Takumi asks if there are monsters and dragons, and she confirms there are all sorts of things. After looking into Takumi's background, she sees he was an office worker in his world, so she decides to make him a hero and a warrior, as there are no office workers in Midgard. She grants him many skills like swordsmanship, magic, and knighthood. She tells him that if he exploits the skills he gains from his actions, he will be able to earn a profession, and if he desires a crafting job, she will grant him a useful spell for it, along with healing magic for his protection. At the end of their conversation, she sends him to the continent of Asgard. Takumi wakes up in Asgard, confused and disoriented. He stumbles upon a lake and is surprised to find his appearance has improved. He decides to forget about his past and sits down to eat. He finds that he has a stockpile of food and some money. When he checks his skills, he decides to size them and uses water magic, wind-cutting magic, and a stone ball spell. He is overjoyed by how fantastical this world is. He then explores the forest, hoping to find a nearby village. Along the way, he finds a high-quality piece of wood, which he recognizes is useful for making magical staffs and magic tools, as well as for crafting spear poles. Excited, Takumi decides to use his blacksmithing skill to craft a large spear. He wonders what other resources this world holds, so he collects many plants. However, his small bag can't carry everything, so he remembers the toolbox he has and stores the items there. Suddenly, he hears a girl scream and sees a huge rabbit chasing her. The girl hides behind him and asks him to save her from the rabbit, as these rabbits in this world eat humans. Takumi, frightened, gathers his strength and strikes the rabbit with the spear, killing it and gaining the warrior skill. The girl thanks him, introducing herself as Molly. Takumi asks where she is from, and she says she's from the village of Bord. She had been gathering medicinal herbs and got lost in the forest. Takumi decides to accompany her back to her village. When they arrive, he opens his toolbox to place the rabbit inside, but is surprised because he didn't want to open it in front of Molly. Meanwhile, in the Holy Empire of Sidonia, 3 people from another world find themselves in a palace, confused about how they arrived. Elizabeth, the first empress of the Holy Empire of Sidonia, appears before them and thanks them for responding to her summoning. One of the individuals asks where they are, and Elizabeth explains that this is a different world entirely, and they were summoned here to use their powers as heroes to save this world. They don't understand what she's saying, so she promises to explain further later and introduces herself as Empress Elizabeth. Back with Takumi, after arriving at Molly's house, her family thanks him for saving her. He meets her parents, her father, Banga, a hunter, and her mother, Martha. Takumi asks if he can stay in the village for a while, and Banga agrees, explaining that the land is rich in ingredients for making medicines and that there's a nearby source of raw materials. Takumi is introduced to Buban, a blacksmith who knows a lot about mining raw materials. Takumi is welcome to stay. Grateful, Takumi thanks them, and they inform him that there are no available inns in the village, so they will build him a small house. Banga speaks with Takumi, apologizing for the small space, but explaining that it's all they have. He urges everyone to start working. Takumi begins using his magic to build his house, but soon becomes exhausted as he has drained most of his mana. Banga approaches him and tells him to leave the next steps to him. Takumi, feeling a sense of accomplishment, thinks to himself that his new life has begun. Thanks to his skills in woodworking, blacksmithing, and carpentry, he was able to create some furniture, and now he can change them as needed. He's happy that he has iron, silver, copper, and magical iron, which he mined with Bubbin, and that the magical iron is now saturated with mana. He decides to turn them into ingots, knowing that normally this would require a large furnace. But since this is a fantasy world, he can try something different: alchemy. Alchemy consists of 5 techniques: dissembling, extracting, grinding, creating, and reassembling. Takumi uses earth magic to extract iron ore and transforms it into iron ingots. He's excited and keeps refining them, thinking of all the things he can make from iron and copper. Meanwhile, Molly approaches and finds Takumi collapsed on the ground with everyone gathered around him. Takumi explains that he got carried away, used too much mana, causing him to lose consciousness. Martha scolds him for overexerting himself, but after taking a healing potion from Banga, Takumi explains that he was able to extract iron, silver, copper, magical iron, and small amounts of lead, tungsten, and tin, which allowed him to craft kitchen tools and other items. His alchemy level has increased significantly. Later, Takumi learns how to craft weapons and says, "This is the finest piece I've made. Once I craft the sheath, it will be complete." He then goes to Banga and asks if he has any raw materials left. Banga confirms that he does, though they are all basic materials. Takumi mentions that he is considering trying to make potions using the medicinal herbs he collected, and Banga agrees, saying that when Takumi completes them, he can sell some to him. Takumi starts experimenting with alchemy, mixing crushed hellcoke herbs with water. As he mixes, the color changes, and he recalls experiments he did as a child. He realizes that the color has changed and that he can feel mana within the mixture. He wonders if this is because he used water magic to prepare the water. He is eager to learn more potion recipes. Takumi later ventures into the forest, eating herbs but feeling tired. He performs a purification spell on himself, thinking that while this method is a bit extreme for gaining resistance and enhancing state magic skills, it's necessary. Thanks to this, he can now use purification magic. At that moment, a monster approaches Takumi. He gets frightened and tries using magic to fight it, but it doesn't work. He notices the venomous spider behind him, but sees that the spider was injured by the monster. Takumi realizes that his magic isn't affecting the monster and he must try something else. He casts another spell and finally succeeds in killing the monster. Takumi then goes to help the injured spider, healing it. To his surprise, the spider wants Takumi to tame it. Takumi is amazed and names the spider Maple, and the spider happily accepts its new name. The villagers are amazed by Takumi's victory over the large monster, a boar, and they are scared of the tame monster. Banga remarks that everyone knows monsters like insects cannot be tamed, but they are glad because they are going to have a feast with the boar's meat. Banga also mentions that the boar's hide, tusks, and skin remnants can be used to craft leather armor, and if Takumi heads to a city, he can sell the leftover skin at Bolton City. A friend of Banga notes that the village has become brighter thanks to Takumi, though he isn't the type to stay in a small village like this forever. The scene then shifts to Lona, who is pleased with Takumi's progress. Her friend explains that she gave Takumi a special body, but more importantly, she sent him a whole year into the past, before the Holy Empire of Sidonia cast its summoning spell. The episode ends with a teaser for the next one. The narrator invites viewers to like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell to stay updated on future episodes. Our episode today starts with Takumi being super mad at his spider friend Maple. Turns out, she wrapped him up completely in a cocoon while he was sleeping. She apologizes, explaining she was testing how strong her silk was and had no one else to try it on. Meanwhile, Takumi is deep into making potions and working on other projects, barely paying attention to Maple. She feels a bit ignored, so he apologizes and promises to take a break and play with her. She gets so happy she starts dancing with joy. Just then, their friend shows up with some food. She walks in on them playing and is totally shocked, thinking something else is going on. Once she realizes what's happening, she picks up some of the silk and says, "Wow, this spider silk is amazing." She decides to make clothes out of it, and the results are stunning. The silk is so luxurious that only nobles can afford to wear it. She asks Takumi if he can make the silk even stretchier, and he agrees to help. Later, Takumi notices Maple having a great time, so he decides to keep himself busy too. With so much work to do, he thinks about heading to the city to study alchemy, but he's not sure how to explain his departure to the villagers after living with them for almost a month. Next, we see Takumi visiting the blacksmith who has crafted him an outfit made of iron and steel. The boots are sturdy enough to kick through almost anything. While he's there, Banjo shows up and tells him, if you want to make real money, you should head to the city. There's more demand there, and you can sell tons of stuff and rake in a fortune. This village is too small for big profits. Banjo adds that Takumi doesn't need to worry about travel expenses because a merchant from Bolton will be arriving next week. They've arranged for him to hitch a ride in the merchant's wagon. Takumi is overjoyed and thanks them for their kindness. Later, we see Martha holding some rabbit guts from one of Banjo's hunts. Takumi is surprised and says they need to be thoroughly washed with water and lemon to avoid diseases or parasites. Unfortunately, since they don't have lemon or any cleaning materials, they'll have to throw them out. But Takumi uses his chemical abilities to treat the guts instead. Martha is super grateful but warns him not to use his powers too openly. She explains only a few people have skills like yours and those who do make a living off them. If you start doing things for free, people will get mad at you for ruining their business. Some might even come after you. After that, we learn that Takumi spends a whole week crafting new items, preparing for his upcoming journey. Takumi also built a large wall around the village to protect it from monsters and created a water pump so everyone could have free access to clean water. Later, Babik welcomes Takumi and thanks him for agreeing to travel with him. Before leaving, Takumi gives Banjo a special bottle and says, "I've sent 100 of these bottles to your house. If anything happens in the village, you must distribute them to everyone immediately." The merchant is shocked and asks what the potion is. Takumi explains that it's a primary healing potion. Babik is amazed and can't believe Takumi made it himself. As the villagers gather to say goodbye, Martha gives Takumi a beautiful cloak. They all bid him a warm farewell, and he thanks them sincerely for all they've done for him. Takumi leaves with Babik and his group, feeling sad because he's grown attached to the village and its people. On the way, Babik talks to Takumi, telling him how much the villagers adore him and see him as family. Soon, the group of adventurers traveling with them introduces themselves. They're a C-rank team called Lion's Fang and serve as Babik's personal guards. One of them notices the bag Takumi is clutching tightly and asks what's inside. Takumi casually replies, "Oh, it's my killer spider." Everyone is stunned that he managed to tame such a creature. Rael, one of the adventurers, asks to see it. When he tries to get close, the spider hits him as it doesn't like being disturbed while sleeping. Takumi explains that the spider is scared of humans in the outside world but has taken a liking to Boger, another member of the team. Babik then asks Takumi about the potions he made, expressing interest in buying one. Just as they're talking, they sense something nearby. Babik stops the carriage, and they find themselves surrounded by a group of goblins. The adventurers leap into action, asking Takumi to stay put. They make quick work of the goblins, gathering their magical stones before continuing their journey. When they finally reach Bolton, the capital of Barcola, Takumi is amazed by everything in the big city. It's his first visit to such a place. He accompanies Lion's Fang to the Adventurers Guild, where they report the success of their escort mission. Takumi decides to register himself at the guild to stay in the city, and even registers his spider Maple as his pet. Next, Takumi heads to the Alchemists Guild, only to find out there isn't one in Bolton. Instead, most people use the Adventurers Guild for identification purposes. He decides to remain at the lowest rank as it only requires him to complete one simple mission a month to maintain his status. Afterward, Takumi visits Babik's company. In Babik's office, Takumi delivers the potions he had promised, surprising Babik with their high quality and effectiveness. Babik is thoroughly impressed and begins planning ways to work with Takumi in the future. Babik then asks Takumi about pricing: 10 silver coins for each healing and stamina potion, and 50 silver coins for each mana potion. Takumi quickly does the math in his head and realizes he could make a fortune. He's shocked by the potential earnings, but Babik apologizes, explaining that the prices are lower because Takumi hasn't built a reputation for himself yet. Takumi can't help but wonder why Babik is helping him so much. Does he have a hidden motive? However, Babik doesn't seem like the type to deceive others. Babik shifts the conversation to Takumi's living arrangements. He suggests that if Takumi wants to work as a producer, he should live in a house with a workshop. Takumi declines, explaining that he's only just arrived in the city and doesn't have the savings to buy a house. Babik then offers another solution: renting a place. He assures Takumi that his company can recommend a suitable home. Babik calls for his assistant, Thomas, and asks him to take Takumi to the house they had discussed earlier. When they arrive, Takumi is amazed by the beauty of the house. It's spacious, functional, and perfect for his needs. Takumi can't believe such a place is being offered to him. Thomas tells Takumi the rent is 1 gold coin and 50 silver coins per month. Takumi thinks to himself, that's so cheap, it seems I can even use the storage room as a workshop. I'll be able to cover the rent easily with the money I'll earn from the potion deal. Turning to Maple, Takumi says, this is our new home. Thomas asks him if he likes the house. Takumi replies, it's beautiful. I'll take it. Thomas assures him that everything will be arranged so he can move in tomorrow. Before leaving, Takumi asks a question that's been on his mind since he arrived in the city. Thomas explains the smell of the sewers. Nobles use magical purification tools to treat the waste from their estates, but those aren't used for the city's main sewers. Occasionally, priests are hired to purify them, but the process isn't consistent. To get more purification tools, we'd have to excavate them from ancient ruins or dungeons. The next day, Takumi and Maple move into their new home. Takumi begins fixing the exterior walls. He mixes mortar with clay he bought from Babik's company, using magic to mold it. Once it dries, he enhances it with heat manipulation magic, shortening the drying time with spatial temporal magic, and stabilizes its condition with alchemy. Exhausted from using so much mana, Takumi is thrilled when the repair turns out perfectly. Suddenly, Takumi hears someone shouting. He finds that Maple has wrapped Babik in her silk. Frustrated, Takumi scolds her, saying, "Only kids enjoy pranks like this." However, Babik, looking very relaxed, says, "This silk is so comfortable it's making me want to take a nice nap." Takumi apologizes, but Babik laughs it off, saying it was a bit surprising, but no harm done. As Babik heads to the restroom, he comes out moments later, yelling, "What is this?" Takumi responds, "I installed a magical purification tool. After you're done, it disintegrates the waste." Babik, amazed, asks, "Can you make 100 more of these?" Babik is overjoyed, saying, "You'll need extra hands for this. I suggest contracting a servant. Given your talents and preferences, a servant bound by a secrecy contract through magic would be ideal. They could help manage your workshop and protect you." Babik continues, "You seem to have an affinity for light magic, which makes you a chosen one. According to the Church of Light that leads the Holy Empire of Sidonia, they recruit anyone with an affinity for light magic and profit from exploiting their healing abilities. I doubt they'd ignore the purification magic you've incorporated into this restroom. I have some ideas about how to gain support for this project, but we'll need to ensure that no one finds out who's behind it." So Babik insists it's wise to make a contract with a servant. Takumi firmly responds, "Hold on, I'm against the use of slaves. I don't feel the term is acceptable. If it means contracting with a slave, I'd rather handle everything myself." At that moment, Takumi receives a message from the Adventurers Guild. "You have been assigned a task that must be completed at a suitable level within 1 month of registration. We apologize for the inconvenience during your busy schedule and request that you visit the Adventurers Guild before the deadline." Babik offers to accompany him, saying Mulan Company is the most reliable slave trading firm in Bolton. Reluctantly, Takumi follows Babik, but waits outside the company while Babik steps in to handle his business. Takumi wanders into the garden nearby and is captivated by its beauty. There he encounters a stunning young woman who catches his eye. She glances at him and unexpectedly says, "Go home." Takumi is left puzzled and intrigued by her abrupt words. And so today's episode of this anime comes to an end. Stay tuned for the next episodes. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with all the latest content. Our episode today begins with Takumi at the slave market looking to purchase someone to assist with his work. At that moment, he spots a beautiful girl and is captivated by her looks. However, she tells him, "Go back home, kid. I don't even know how you got in here. This isn't a place for children like you." Meanwhile, we see Milan, the owner of the trade company. She welcomes them and is introduced to Takumi by Babik, who explains that Takumi is looking for a servant to help him with his tasks. But Takumi seems hesitant, which surprises Milan. She asks, "Why is that?" Takumi then explains, "In my homeland, where I was born, signing a contract to own a servant is against our customs, and I honestly don't understand much about it." Milan takes the time to explain things to him. She tells him, "Here in the kingdom of Barcola, there are certain rules you need to know. When signing a contract with a servant, the owner is required to respect the servant's basic rights, provide food, clothing, and shelter. Neither party is allowed to harm the other in a way that threatens their life. Forcing a servant to do tasks that aren't listed in the contract is strictly prohibited. And according to Clause 3, a servant is not allowed to share financial information with others." Afterwards, she goes on to explain the common types of contracts. Some people become servants due to debt, regardless of the reason, and they enter into a binding contract until the debt is repaid. Criminals can also choose servitude as a means to secure a way to earn a living. Additionally, war refugees may accept contracts to secure a place to stay. There are also illegal cases where people are forced into servitude by bandits or raiders. Babik then speaks up, telling her Takumi is a hardworking, skilled individual with talents that others can't easily replicate. He's looking for someone to help him with everything, including tasks from the Adventurers Guild. Ideally, this person would manage his personal affairs at home, assist him in getting to the guild, and even fight alongside him. Takumi sums it up, saying, "I need someone to manage the mansion fight and serve as a personal bodyguard." Mulan responds, "That sounds like you're looking for 2 servants, not just 1. Just then, the first candidate enters and introduces herself. Her name is Maria. She tells him she was kidnapped by bandits as a young girl and has no family. She's been trained in reading, writing, accounting, and general household work. Takumi decides to be honest with her and explains The mansion has a living room, dining room, and kitchen on the first floor, and on the second floor, there are 4 bedrooms and a bathroom. Will it be too much for you to handle alone? Maria replies confidently, I should be able to manage that amount of work by myself, God willing. Takumi is delighted and tells Maria that she's truly cheerful and funny, and she'll be able to handle a lot of tasks for him. However, Maria gets angry, her face turning red. Clearly, there's been a misunderstanding. She firmly tells him, I can only handle general household duties. I'm not going to touch you or sleep with you. Takumi is shocked and quickly clarifies, that's not what I meant. I'm Muslim, and such things are only permissible after marriage. With that misunderstanding cleared up, they proceed to sign the contract. Mulan instructs Maria to return to her room and pack her belongings. Takumi then mentions that he wants to see the girl he encountered earlier when he first entered. He explains that his intuition tells him she might have great strength. They eventually meet her, and we learn her name is Sophia. She was captured during a war almost 50 years ago. Sophia is from the ancient kingdom of Uyghur, and for various reasons she hasn't formed a contract with anyone. Some of these reasons include a large scar on her left ear, partial paralysis in her right hand and leg, and a sealed racial and phantom magic unique to elves. Although these impairments don't significantly hinder her daily life, they make her unsuitable as a primary fighter. Takumi, however, insists on speaking with her privately. After Mulan leaves, he introduces himself to Sophia, then approaches her and gently holds her face to examine her more closely. Using his special glasses, he discovers surprising details about her condition. He realizes that if he can treat her ailments and break the seal on her magic, she could become an incredibly valuable fighter. Mulan re-enters the room, skeptical, and tells Takumi she won't be of any use to you. But Takumi confidently replies, I'll fix these issues, I'm capable of doing that. Perhaps a jinn has possessed her, and I'll exorcise it and break the magic seal. That's when Sophia will be reborn, reclaiming the ability she hasn't been able to use for over 50 years. Takumi is entrusted with Sophia's care. He speaks with her, asking her to be honest about whether she finds him unbearable. Sophia replies firmly, there's no need to concern yourself with the wishes of a servant. They continue their conversation as Mulan enters, informing them that everything is ready and the paperwork is finalized. At that moment, Maria joins them to express her gratitude to Takumi. She's overjoyed that he is contracting with Sophia too. The time comes to use magic as proof of the contract. The ritual begins, and the magic is invoked to seal the agreement. After completing the process, Maria and Sophia thank Takumi sincerely, promising to work hard so he'll keep them for many years to come. The next morning, Maria and Sophia arrive at Takumi's home to begin living with him. They're shocked to find a beast with him. Takumi reassures them, this is my pet. His name is Maple. He then takes them on a tour of the mansion, showing them their rooms. The mansion has many rooms, so each of them gets one of their own. He encourages them to unpack and settle in. Takumi also mentions a large bathroom equipped with a magical tool that keeps it perpetually clean. Maria and Sophia head off to take a bath. While bathing, Maria confides in Sophia, I was so worried that Mulan wouldn't let me go. She's never approved of anyone leaving with a customer, no matter how much they've paid. Sophia responds, I caught a glimpse of the contract Mulan prepared. Most of the master's details were left blank, even his birthplace and lineage. If he's hiding that much, there must be some special circumstances, or sharing certain information might cause trouble for him. I wonder what he's thinking. Later, it's time for dinner. Maria and Sophia join Takumi at the dining table. Maria feels disappointed when she sees the meal, saying she had wanted to prepare dinner herself. Takumi reassures her, this is your first day here. Starting tomorrow, you'll handle everything. Sophia then asks, will you let us sit with you during meals? Takumi responds, I don't want to do everything separately just because you're my servants. I want to share everything with you. He also requests, please don't call me master. Just call me by my name. They all sit together and enjoy their meal. The next morning, Takumi visits Babek's company to collect the items he had requested. Babek hands them over, explaining that they've been securely packaged and advising Takumi to handle them with care. On his way back home, Takumi notices a church and decides to step inside. There he finds a statue of Nolan and offers his thanks, reflecting on what she has done for him. He recalls hearing that the Holy Empire of Sidonia governs this land. Takumi recalls hearing that the Holy Empire of Sidonia imposes control over certain religions. He reflects, this isn't right. The only true faith we should follow is Islam. At that moment, Nolan the Jinn appears before him, leaving Takumi stunned. She greets him warmly and explains that she has come to clarify a few things. She assures him she has no direct connection to any religion, but acknowledges that Islam is the path to follow. She also mentions that some Christians align with her teachings and have established a church under the influence of the Holy Empire of Sidonia to promote Christianity. Nolan offers to train Takumi, granting him new abilities through rigorous practice. However, she warns that challenges will grow more difficult, including encounters with those harboring ill intentions toward him. Takumi expresses gratitude, saying, "Everything I've experienced, the kind people I've met, and the amazing places I've visited, it's all thanks to your blessing." Nolan smiles and says, "I'm counting on you to decide the course of events." The scene then shifts to the Holy Empire of Sidonia, where the king discusses the summoned heroes. A man reports that 3 of them are currently training under Master Homo and Master Packard. The king expresses his desire for the heroes to grow into a great force for the Empire, noting that they were initially hesitant. However, with Elizabeth's persuasion, they are now fully committed to helping. We then see Akira and Yamato training intensely. Their instructor urges them to fight harder, warning that their current performance won't be enough to survive on the battlefield. Elizabeth approaches Akane, who refuses to train with the others and insists that strength is essential to save our world. Akira reassures Akane, promising to protect her no matter what. Back at Takumi's home, Maria and Sophia are worried about him. When he arrives, he reassures them but retreats to his room, asking not to be disturbed. Sophia notices a magically sealed package with Takumi and grows curious. Meanwhile, Maria keeps an eye on Sophia, warning Takumi that if anything happens to her, she'll hold him accountable. Later, Takumi notices a wound on Sophia's hand. Using his power, he heals it, saying, "This is from the curse on you, but finally I've managed to cure it." Maria explains that Sophia's condition has been like this for a while. Any sudden movements or emotional stress exhaust her. Takumi uses his abilities to heal all of Sophia's injuries, removing the curse's effects. From this moment on, Sophia is capable of fighting again. The next morning, Sophia wakes up feeling significantly better. She shares her relief with Maria, who assures her, "Takumi doesn't want to harm you. He's the best person you'll ever meet." Maria is thrilled for Sophia, as everything about her seems to have returned to normal. Sophia goes to thank Takumi, who reveals that he discovered a magical cure for her condition using highly toxic Needham herbs he obtained from Babik. He explains, "Curing your condition enhanced my healing abilities, allowing me to perform advanced healing magic. I'll take care of everything from now on." And so, today's episode of this anime concludes. Stay tuned for future episodes. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell to stay updated with all our latest content. Our episode today begins with Takumi sitting in the library, browsing through its collection. To his surprise, there are only 4 books on chemistry. How could this be? It's a massive library, yet it has only 4 books on the subject. Perhaps it's because the library focuses on ancient magical civilizations. Thankfully, being in this new world, Takumi has the ability to understand all the languages in these books. The scene then shifts to Takumi sitting with Maria, who seems overjoyed. She says, "I can't forget what happened last night," as she recalls the moment between him and Sophia. Sophia had pledged her loyalty to him, like a knight vowing to protect her princess. The next morning, the group was busy making toilets. Everyone was hard at work, striving to earn a living. Takumi knew he had to fulfill the merchant's order today, but after such a long day, they deserved a break. He decided they should go on an adventure to gather rare materials, try unique dishes from specific places, and explore some ruins. Takumi planned to take Sophia along as his personal guard, while Maria would stay behind to defend the house. As for Maple, the spider, he'd come along too. Maria, feeling left out, bursts into tears and cries, "Don't leave me alone. It's like abandoning a toilet in the middle of a desert." She apologizes for the analogy, saying it's because she's been building toilets all day. Seeing her like this, Takumi reconsiders and decides to take her along. He checks Maria's stats and finds that she's at level 14. Her stats are impressive. She's a capable combat servant. Sophia also insists that Maria should come along, promising to train her in combat and supernatural abilities. With the decision made, Takumi gets to work crafting weapons and armor for everyone. Sophia requests a long sword, a large shield, and a lighter buckler. Maria asks for a short sword or a small knife, but Sophia dismisses it, saying it's not sufficient and suggesting she use a spear instead. Sophia also promises to teach Maria everything she knows. Takumi begins crafting diligently while Sophia and Maria train outside with their new spears. He focuses on making armor. However, he's too embarrassed to ask them for their measurements directly. Using one of his special abilities, he creates mannequins resembling Sophia and Maria. He also enlists Maple's help, asking the spider to produce silk for the armor. After several days of hard work, the armor is finally ready. The suits fit perfectly, allowing for easy movement. Maria, impressed, asks Takumi how he managed to make them so well fitted. Before Takumi can answer, Maple spills the beans. "He used mannequins he made of you too." Takumi quickly interrupts, praising the spider silk for its excellent defensive properties. Both Sophia and Maria thank him for the effort. Takumi also gives them rings infused with magical mana. That afternoon, they head to the Adventurers Guild to register Sophia and Maria. Since both are rank E, Takumi wants to form a team. At the guild, a young attendant asks Takumi about a letter they sent him 2 days ago containing missions. Takumi agrees to take on the tasks 1 rank E mission and 1 rank C mission. While the payment isn't much, it marks their first official quest together. At that moment, the guild's troublemaker gang shows up, provoking Takumi and his group. They sneer, "Get lost, kid. Leave those girls to us, we're way stronger than you." One of them, a big, burly guy with a beer belly, steps up to hit Takumi. But just as he swings, Takumi activates his petrification ability, turning the guy's fist to stone. The man lets out a loud, panicked scream. The commotion draws the attention of the guildmaster, a man with an impressive handlebar mustache. A guild clerk rushes to explain, "Sir, there was a scuffle. That big guy hit Takumi first, but Takumi didn't do anything to provoke him." The guildmaster pulls Takumi aside and asks, "What did you do, Takumi? Is that some kind of advanced ability?" Not wanting to reveal his secrets, Takumi quickly explains, "Oh no, it wasn't magic. I just pulled out some coal from my toolbox, coated my upper body with it, and added a compound to harden it into diamond-like toughness. It's just chemistry." The guild clerk, recalling Takumi's earlier interest in joining the alchemy guild, suggests to the guildmaster maybe we should promote them to rank D. That way, they won't have to deal with these idiots anymore. The guildmaster agrees, but on the condition that Takumi accepts some additional missions first. Takumi and his team accept the missions and set off on their next adventure. Their tasks include exterminating goblins, wiping out kobolds, and gathering merrill herbs. As they venture into the forest, Maple the spider scouts ahead and spots 4 goblins hiding in the bushes. Sophia rushes in with incredible speed, taking down 2 goblins, while Maple ensnares the other 2 in his strong webs, finishing them off. Time flies as they clear out dozens of goblins. Sophia deduces that there's a nearby goblin camp, likely led by a military commander. Goblins of this level are categorized as rank threats, and taking down such a camp usually requires at least 5 teams of rank D or higher adventurers. But Sophia believes that if the 3 of them combine their magic, they might be able to destroy the camp in a single powerful attack. Meanwhile, Maple announces to Takumi, "I'm about to evolve soon." Takumi quickly responds, "Not now. Get in here immediately." The team stealthily approaches the main goblin camp, which houses 300 to 400 goblins. They launch a coordinated magical strike, wiping out a significant number in one devastating attack. However, many goblins survive, and the team is forced into close combat. Amidst the chaos, they confront the military leader, engaging in an intense battle. After completing their mission and returning home, they are greeted by a merchant named Babek. As usual, Maple welcomes him in his peculiar way. Unfortunately, Babek faints upon seeing Maple's spider body atop a human's head. Once revived, Babek informs Takumi that the ruler of Pluton wishes to meet him regarding his magical purification devices. Takumi travels to meet the ruler, who thanks him for creating a device that effectively purifies waste. "Thanks to your invention, our city has become much cleaner. It's significantly improved sanitation and prevented the spread of infectious diseases. You've saved us from disaster. And I can't thank you enough for your efforts, especially since our knights had neglected their duties." Takumi humbly replies, "No need to thank me, your majesty. I was merely fulfilling the tasks assigned to me by both you and the guild." And with that, our episode ends. Stay tuned for the next one, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to catch all the latest updates. Our episode begins with Takumi proudly announcing to the girls that he has finally finished making the refrigerators. The girls are amazed by how beautiful they are, and Takumi explains that they can now store food inside them, but they should avoid leaving them open for too long. Maria is especially grateful, as this will make food preservation much easier for her. Sophia then suggests that they should take the sky refrigerator, while Takumi delivers the others to Babek, since it's time for him to start his next project. Takumi then shares his thoughts about upgrading their equipment, since they travel frequently and fight monsters, having better gear is essential. His blacksmithing skills have improved, and he now possesses a suit of armor made from magic steel, but he wants to craft a new set using mithril and adamantite. The scene shifts to the guild's receptionist, who informs Takumi that mithril and adamantite are rare materials, and there aren't many blacksmiths capable of working with them. However, he provides Takumi with a list of skilled blacksmiths in the city's outskirts. The receptionist also warns Takumi that fusing these 2 materials will require a lot of mana. He suggests an alternative, obtaining the materials himself through mining. There's a large mine in the city of Horus, northwest of the Barcola Kingdom, where he can extract mithril and adamantite. However, entry is restricted to Blacksmith Guild members. Another way to access the mine is by hunting the monsters that sometimes appear in its valleys. Takumi immediately agrees to this plan. Suddenly, the guild master appears and mentions that Bolton has recently faced a shortage of Trent wood. Most adventurers have been busy hunting black buffalo, leaving fewer people to collect the wood, which has slowed its availability. He asks Takumi to hunt some Trent creatures, and Takumi agrees. The guild master then gives him another task, acting as a bodyguard for a blacksmith traveling to Horus. If he successfully completes these missions, he will be promoted in rank. Takumi asks how long it will take to reach Horus. The receptionist tells him it would take 7 days by regular horse-drawn carriage, but only 4 days if he used a wild horse to pull the carriage. Takumi chooses the wild horse option, but the receptionist informs him that wild horses are currently unavailable. Just then, Rael appears and reveals that all the wild horses are currently in use. He tells the receptionist that he hasn't completed his mission yet, but was attacked by a black buffalo on the way. He managed to kill it and rushed back to the guild before the meat spoiled. He plans to return in the morning to join Heath and the others. Takumi invites Rael to stay at his house for the night, and Rael happily accepts. They then go to see the guild master, and Takumi requests a wild horse. The guild master agrees, but asks Takumi to make more refrigerators upon his return, as he finds them to be a fantastic invention. Meanwhile, at home, Sophia anxiously waits for Takumi, worried that something bad might have happened to him. We then see Takumi and Rael visiting all the blacksmiths mentioned by the receptionist. Suddenly, a mysterious masked figure attacks Rael. When the attacker lifts their mask, it's revealed to be Sophia. She demands to know how Rael dares to target Takumi. Just as she prepares to strike him down, Takumi stops her, explaining that Rael is his friend. Sophia apologizes, explaining that she didn't know and was just worried about Takumi. The group returns home, and Rael is surprised by the beauty of the girls living with Takumi. He jokingly suggests that they all move in with him instead, but everyone refuses, preferring to stay with Takumi. After taking a bath, Rael and the others discuss their upcoming journey, which is set to begin in 3 days. Once Rael finishes his bath, he bids farewell to Takumi and the others and leaves. The next morning, Takumi works on refining his large sword. Using his magic, he channels a significant amount of mana and transforms the massive sword into 2 smaller swords, planning to give one to Sophia. Later, Babik arrives with the carriage. Takumi climbs aboard and meets the blacksmith who will be traveling with him, introducing himself. The blacksmith introduces himself as Dogenbo. As they set off, a message arrives at the guild, informing the guild master that the monsters in the Forest of Death have become more active and ferocious. Takumi reassures them not to worry, he will protect everyone. The scene then shifts to the Holy Empire of Sidonia, months after Takumi's departure. We see the knights training with their swords as a crowd watches them. Back with Takumi and his friends, he explains that he has created a barrier to protect the blacksmith and the guild master from monsters. Then he and the girls head out to hunt Trent trees. Sophia warns them that Trent trees look almost identical to regular trees. As they begin their attack, they successfully cut down one of the Trent trees. Suddenly, they find themselves surrounded by Trent trees from all directions. Realizing that brute force alone won't be enough, they decide to use magic. The group unleashes their spells, cutting down the trees. However, to their shock, the trees regenerate instantly. Thinking quickly, Takumi coats his sword in flames using his magic. He targets the ancient Trent tree, slashing through it and stabbing it in the face, successfully killing it. As the tree falls, a strange apple drops from it. Sophia tells him that this apple is incredibly rare, so rare that even eating one is considered a luxury. They decide to take the apples back home. The next morning, they arrive in Horus and head to the guild to learn more about the monsters inhabiting the Mines Valley. Dogenbo warns them that these creatures are among the worst kinds of monsters, but if they defeat them, they will gain access to the mine. As they reach the mine, the ground suddenly trembles beneath them and a monstrous creature emerges. The team prepares for battle. Takumi uses his magic to illuminate the area, easily defeating the monster. He explains that these creatures thrive in complete darkness. If exposed to light, they become helpless. Everyone is astonished by how effortlessly Takumi defeated them. With the threat eliminated, they successfully extract a large amount of raw materials and return safely to Bolton. Takumi then visits Dogenbo's workshop and asks him to teach him the basics of mithril and adamantite alloy crafting. Dogenbo explains that he combines mithril ore with magic steel, salamander stones, and ground magic stones. Takumi follows his instructions and spends countless hours hammering away, working tirelessly through days and nights. The process is far from simple. Eventually, he presents Sophia with a spear called the Hurricane Spear and gives Maria another spear named the Explosion Spear. Both girls are thrilled with their new weapons. Sophia, deeply moved, tells Takumi that she would willingly sacrifice her life for him if he were ever in danger. She then requests an extremely strong shield, and Takumi agrees. Meanwhile, a girl named Nolan observes Takumi and notices 2 mysterious figures with weapons. She senses that Takumi is in danger. A year passes and the scene shifts back to the Sidonia Empire. We see Akira and Yamato standing as warriors as the king tells them that he is counting on them for the nation's safety. Back with Takumi, he sits, utterly exhausted. Sophia watches him in silence, thinking to herself, I was the one who asked this of Takumi, and now the burden on him keeps growing. If only he had an assistant to help him in his workshop. The scene then transitions to the kingdom of Barcola, where the king receives a message from Sidonia. The letter states that they have heard of the purification mage and wish to learn more details. A messenger is expected to arrive in a few days. The king immediately realizes that while the letter is polite on the surface, it carries an unmistakable underlying threat. And with that, our episode comes to an end. To watch more episodes, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and notification bell. Our episode begins today with rumors that the kingdom of Barcola is using magical tools to purify their sewers. These rumors have reached the lands of Sidonia, where the church has repeatedly insisted that such actions are unacceptable. They claim that light magic is a great blessing, and therefore purification magic falls under the church's domain. An old man asks, what does that mean? Another responds, they say that the purification magic circle should be patented and handed over to the church. Moreover, such magic should not be used on toilets. It is utterly inappropriate. Thus, the man insists that the king must hand over the person responsible for creating this purification magic tool for the Sidonian Empire, Takumi. However, the king refuses, enraging the man, who threatens, if you don't surrender him, the Pope will summon all the church's priests. The king, unfazed, replies, do as you please, I won't stop you. The scene then shifts to Takumi, who is sitting with Patrick discussing the matter. This means that the church will turn against them, but Patrick reassures him, saying, don't worry about it. I come from a rural town with its own customs and traditions, different from other villages. But today I have come to ask you something. When I met Lord Marquis Goodwin to present him with samples of the toilets you created, he ordered me to bring you to meet him. Takumi is shocked. Wait a minute, why do I have to go there and meet His Majesty? That would be really embarrassing. Patrick, however, tries his best to convince him to come along. That night, Takumi discusses the issue with his two friends and tells them he will be traveling to the royal capital, Bacaleidos. The king protected me from the church, so it would be incredibly rude of me to refuse his invitation. Samia suggests they come along, to which the others eagerly agree. It will be their first time visiting the royal capital. Takumi informs them that they will set out in a week, but will need to prepare many supplies for the journey. When asked how long the trip would take, he tells them it will be about 7 days by monster horse-drawn carriage, meaning they will need plenty of food for the long journey. Takumi also considers making them new cloaks to wear in the capital. He has asked Babak to obtain some dark element magic stones. These stones will be used to craft the cloaks, which will also help them avoid harassment from shady individuals. The next morning, Maria and Sophia go shopping while talking about Takumi. They remark on how kind-hearted and thoughtful he is, always considering others before himself. The scene shifts to Takumi visiting the church, where he speaks with Nolan. She welcomes him warmly, noting that it has been a long time since they last met. She mentions that she has heard about his upcoming trip to the royal capital, which he confirms. He also says that he has come to ask her some questions about the city and whether the journey there will be troublesome. Nolan assures him that he will face many adventures along the way. She then confesses that she has tampered with time. The heroes have not arrived yet because she delayed time by more than a year. They might take a few more months to appear, she explains. Takumi, shocked, asks, why did you do that? You delayed me for an entire year. However, Nolan dismisses his concerns, saying, time's up. You need to visit me again. You still haven't answered my question. He protests. In response, she smacks him on the head. Shut up, you idiot. Takumi realizes she's avoiding the question and thinks to himself, well, I have no intention of meeting the heroes anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. The scene shifts to the Holy Empire of Dunya, 10 months into the future from Takumi's present timeline. There, Akira is training in sword combat. His instructor praises him, saying, your progress in these past few weeks has been truly remarkable, Akira. The scene returns to Takumi and Maria, who is overjoyed with her new magical cloak. Sophia also wears one. Takumi asks them, do you like the design? They enthusiastically reply, it's beautiful. Takumi then thinks about crafting a carriage himself instead of borrowing one each time. He sketches a design on paper, planning its construction. However, they lack a monster horse to pull it. Maria, thinking of an alternative, asks, do you remember the Forest of Death? There are many similar areas inhabited by powerful beasts. Some places even have horses far superior to monster horses, faster and stronger. We could go there and catch one. The scene shifts to them traveling to the forest. Takumi wonders, are Drake horses really much faster than monster horses? Sophia answers, yes, they are extremely agile and powerful. The main difference between them and other horses is their single horn, which sets them apart. Their bodies are also covered in scales like dragons. At that moment, they encounter Kaede, who has arrived ahead of them, brimming with excitement. Suddenly, a wolf passes by them without attacking. They are all surprised, but Takumi reassures them, "No need to be shocked, it's thanks to the magical cloaks I made. They conceal our presence." However, Sophia has a different idea. She wants to remove her cloak so she can train and fight the beasts herself. They may have to remove their cloaks and fight in order to train. Indeed, everyone begins their training with Sophia slaying a beast. Takumi then dries the meat and adds it to their supplies. Soon they come across a fallen tree and decide to take its wood to craft their carriage. Sophia helps Takumi gather the wood while Kaede explores the surrounding areas, knowing that many tree monsters inhabit the land. Suddenly, she finds an injured horse lying on the ground covered in wounds. As she approaches, the horse assumes she means to harm it and kicks her with great force. Kaede quickly reassures it, saying, "I have a strong master who can help you." However, before she can say more, she spots a swarm of large insects approaching. Kaede attacks some of them and then weaves a large web barrier to protect the horse. The insects leap onto the web, tearing through it with their sharp teeth. Kaede tries to contact her master, but he doesn't respond. She grows anxious, fearing that Takumi and the girls might have already left after collecting the wood. Despite her fear, she continues to call out for him, her voice filled with desperation. Just then, she sees Takumi standing before her. Overjoyed, she exclaims, "You finally came to save us." She tells him that she called out to him repeatedly, but he never answered. Takumi explains, "When you were weaving your web layers for a stronger defense, the threads blocked the flow of mana, making it impossible for anyone to hear you." However, he had sensed her weakened mana and followed her trail, eventually finding her in this place. Kaede, relieved, quickly informs him of the horse's condition. It is unconscious due to its severe injuries, and she begs Takumi to help immediately. Takumi cautiously approaches the horse, aware that it may still react aggressively even while unconscious. Kaede urges him to hurry, but Sophia warns, "If we stay here much longer, more monsters will attack us. I can sense them nearby." Takumi decides to transport both the horse and Kaede back to their home. As he cannot move the horse alone, it needs a human presence with it. Sophia warns him of the great risk involved, but Takumi dismisses her concerns. Suddenly, Takumi collapses unconscious. The group rushes to carry him home so he can recover. He remains asleep for more than 20 hours without waking. Concerned, Maria asks Sophia about Takumi's condition. Sophia explains he's still maintaining the pocket dimension, despite its immense burden. As long as the dimension holding the horse and Kaede remains sealed, Takumi can wake up at any time. However, she doesn't want to wait any longer, fearing that Takumi might fall ill. To help, she transfers some of her energy to him. She then uses telepathy to contact Kaede, successfully reaching her. Sophia asks about the horse's condition. Kaede, still frightened and uneasy in the unfamiliar place, responds that they cannot treat the horse unless it comes out of the pocket dimension, meaning Takumi will remain unconscious. Sophia instructs Kaede to create a barrier similar to the one she made in the forest. If the horse can't see beyond the barrier, it may feel safer. Afterward, Sophia prepares to buy medical herbs for the horse, but Maria stops her. "Stay with Takumi. I'll go buy the herbs instead," she insists. Later, Takumi begins to feel warmth in his hand. When he finally wakes from his coma, he finds Sophia beside him. He thanks her for everything they've done for him. That night, they visit Kaede and the horse. Takumi does everything in his power to heal the injured creature. Once treated, he asks the horse to use its great strength to break free from the spider webs. After fully healing the horse, they gain a new companion. Takumi tames the horse and names it Camellia, after the tree that retains its leaves year-round and blooms with red and white flowers. The girls are delighted with the name. Finally, they all decide to go eat together. And that's the end of today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated with all our latest content. Our episode today begins in the Kingdom of Barkala, specifically at the Palm Slave Trading Company. An old man is seen speaking to a cat girl named Riva, asking her, "What can you do, my dear?" She replies that she is still studying, but will be able to do a lot once she completes her training in supernatural abilities. However, the old man apologizes, saying he is looking for someone useful immediately, then leaves. Her master tries to comfort her, saying, "Don't worry, I'm sure someone will come and take care of you." Riva then sits down and sighs, thinking that man, Barton, has been saying those same words for years, yet no one has ever come. She remembers her younger brother, recalling how she bid him farewell before leaving to earn money for their household. She had told him to take care of their mother until she could return safely. Feeling completely hopeless, Riva falls into despair. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Taku, who is busy crafting some items. Maria asks him if he plans to go to Dagamo's workshop. From her tone, she already knows the answer. He's definitely going. He has some blacksmithing work to do, including forging horseshoes for Camellia and working on the carriage. Maria tries to convince him to take a break since he hasn't slept in 2 days, urging him to think about his health first. But Taku reassures them, saying he's fine and that this work is important to him. After saying his goodbyes, he sets off. Upon arriving at the guild, Taku notices something unusual and asks the receptionist, "What's going on, my friend?" The receptionist explains that there have been reports of a strange creature sighted on the outskirts of the city. Though they can't confirm whether it's a monster or not, they have created a rough sketch based on eyewitness accounts. The creature appears mysterious, but thankfully there have been no reports of any damage so far. The receptionist then asks, "So what brings you here today, Taku?" Taku casually replies, "I came to register another pet." A wave of shock ripples through the guild. The so-called monster that people have been reporting is, in fact, the very creature Taku is trying to register. The guildmaster grabs Taku and shouts, "Come with me, you fool!" The scene then shifts to Sophia, who is walking through the market, lost in thought. She recalls a conversation with her former mistress, who once asked for a slave with specific conditions. However, the manager at the time had apologized, saying that such a request couldn't be fulfilled at that moment, but that she would contact some fellow traders in other towns and provide details later. Back in the present, Marina approaches Sophia and walks with her. They discuss how Taku has been looking exhausted lately, so they decide to bring him a hearty meal, especially beef, since he loves productivity so much that he often forgets to eat. After finishing their shopping, they head to the blacksmith's workshop, where they find Taku fast asleep. They are shocked, but he reassures them not to worry, he's just sleeping. Marina notes that he has been working non-stop for days without rest, and if he keeps this up, he'll collapse sooner or later. Later, we see the completed carriage, and Taku is overjoyed. He asks Camellia, the horse, to pull it, explaining to everyone that he has fully equipped it with everything they need: a bathroom, a kitchen, a bedroom, and a living space. It's a well-designed and functional vehicle with even a kitchen for cooking and plenty of other useful features. As they set off, traveling at high speed, Sophia is surprised by how smooth the ride is. There's no shaking at all inside the carriage. Taku explains that he designed it with advanced stabilization to ensure comfort. After a few days of testing it out, they finally reach the Lion's Fang Brigade. Upon arrival, they are shocked to see that the carriage is being pulled by a Doric horse. Just then, Godwin appears and welcomes them, apologizing to the governor for any trouble this visit might cause. Merchant Babak then requests permission to take a look inside the carriage. The moment he steps in, he is utterly stunned. Letting out a loud scream, he startles everyone. "What's wrong? Is something the matter?" they ask, concerned. Babak, still in shock, exclaims, "What is this magnificent carriage? Did you really build this yourself?" Babak then told him that the carriage had many shocking features and innovative functions. If Takumi didn't mind, he wanted to hear all the details immediately. Of course, he wouldn't ask for it for free. He was willing to pay the appropriate reward and fees. However, the governor instructed him to calm down, as he was overwhelming Takumi. Babak took a deep breath and then admitted, "Regardless, this carriage is truly remarkable." Takumi thanked him, and the governor agreed, saying, "It really is impressive. I'd love to travel in a carriage like this." He then made Takumi an offer to build him a similar carriage for 100 platinum coins. Takumi was utterly stunned by the proposal. After that, they continued on their journey to the royal capital, Bakalatos. There we see the governor discussing contributions with the emperor, mentioning how Takumi had made significant contributions to his region. Now he was about to play an even bigger role, making his name known far and wide, rising to greater heights. At that moment, he decided to ensure Takumi's protection from the common evildoers. Meanwhile, in the Holy Empire of Sidonia, a young woman was reading a book about monsters that were created to serve humans. The next day, we see Takumi carrying Maple, accompanied by his friends, as they safely arrive in the royal capital, Bakalatos, without encountering any major monster threats. Every time a monster appeared, Sophia and the others swiftly defeated it in an instant. Even Maple and the Doric horse proved to be unstoppable. Babak then approached Takumi, telling him that he wanted to discuss something once they reached home. When they finally arrived, Babak revealed his plan. He wanted Takumi to present something similar to his carriage to the king. He had already consulted Governor Godwin, who believed that this was the perfect way to showcase Takumi's extraordinary talent. Babak then informed him that the king wanted to meet him in 5 days. Given the short time frame, he knew it would be difficult to build another carriage, so he suggested that Takumi start working on it as soon as they returned to Bolton. However, Takumi pointed out that if they built it in Bolton, they would have to transport it all the way back here, which would be a hassle. Given the effort required, it would be better to build it immediately. He could manage with the materials he had, but he needed a workspace. Babak assured him that he would take care of that. Later, Takumi sat with his friends and told them about the Palom Company, which Babak had mentioned to him. It was a slave trading company run by someone he knew. Sophia responded that she was already aware of it. The company was owned by a man named Barton and was known for being reputable, even in the capital. Takumi continued, explaining that they had a large garden in that secluded building that they could use. Babak had also promised to provide a generator. Sophia then expressed concern, saying that Takumi needed someone to assist him with production. He had exhausted himself during the journey, and despite the long trip, he had immediately started working without taking a break. This is reckless, she scolded him. Takumi reassured her, saying he wasn't too tired and was actually excited about heading to the Palom company. Most importantly, he felt at ease knowing they were with him and willing to help. Sophia then declared that while she might not be able to assist with alchemy, she was committed to dedicating her life to protecting his. I promise to handle any external threats, she vowed. Maria interrupted, insisting, I'll take care of the household chores. Over my dead body, will anyone else do them? Takumi smiled and thanked them for their support. The next morning, Takumi headed to Palom, where he met with the manager and inquired about hiring someone. He was considering expanding his team and needed someone to assist him with alchemy. The manager responded that he had already heard about Takumi using alchemy to craft a carriage out of mithril and adamantite. Therefore, he would need someone with magical abilities. Meanwhile, we shift to Sophia and Maria. Maria asked Sophia about Maple, noting that she hadn't been around. She had been with Camellia just a while ago. Maria then mentioned that Maple wanted to explore the company's buildings, but she was worried that something might have happened to her. Concerned, Sophia decided to go after her. When she finally found her, Maple was lying on the ground alongside a young girl who was screaming loudly. Maple tried to calm the girl down, but Sophia stepped in, demanding, "What are you doing here?" She then helped them both up from the ground. Sophia then talks to Riva while holding the book, saying, "It looks like an old book." Riva replies, "Yes, it's a book from the library. There are many unwanted books about magic here. This one is an encyclopedia on the basics of alchemy in Arnold style. Alchemy circles are quite old-fashioned, and this book is the best way to learn the fundamentals of analysis and synthesis." Then Takumi appears and speaks to Sophia, saying, "I was just thinking about summoning you. I was on my way to meet a candidate, but I wonder if you'd like to accompany me." The scene then shifts to the king introducing Riva to Takumi, mentioning that he works as a producer in Bolton. Takumi then explains, "I go on adventures in addition to my work as a producer, but I mainly do this to maintain my status. I primarily use magic for production. I'd be happy if you have some knowledge or interest in alchemy." Sophia responds, "I've been studying and learning various things on my own here, including a book on alchemy." Takumi and Riva both react. "The Encyclopedia of Alchemy Fundamentals in Arnold style?" Riva adds, "Aaron's book is generally considered a fundamental alchemy text, but I believe it's derived from Arnold's methods. Still, we shouldn't forget the foundational principles." Takumi then hands Riva a piece of paper, saying, "You can understand the purpose of the alchemy circle from this." Riva takes the paper and sees that it describes the reconstruction of a heat-based material with structural modifications. It resembles the alchemical lollipop circle, but something is different. "I need to do my best to figure it out, or I'll be rejected again." She starts crying and says, "I don't know, in my homeland, we don't use whipped cream. We use honey candy. I'll be rejected again." Takumi tells her, "I'd like to have you join us on our adventure to help us." Riva replies, "I don't understand your alchemy circle. It's different from the lollipop-based one I know, but I'll do my best." The king then finalizes the contract between them. Takumi turns to Sophia and says, "Are you okay with a daily wage and potential raises based on your abilities?" Sophia responds, "I want all my wages sent to my home. The village I come from is very poor. I left my family with little money after becoming a civil slave. I don't want my little brother to live in poverty. I want him to go to school and make life easier for my mother." Takumi replies, "If we send all the money, you'll remain a slave forever." Sophia says she will learn more techniques, including alchemy, under your guidance. She'll be able to earn her own living one day. Serving under her master, she has entered a lifelong contract. The scene shifts to Takumi's friends welcoming Sophia. They are all very happy to have her join them. Next, we move to the Holy Empire of Sidonia. A man tells the king, "The stance of the kingdom of Barcola remains unchanged. We have sent them 3 official letters, and they insisted on rejection as if they were copying the same response." The king replies, "We must teach them a lesson, even if we have to use some force." Then a young woman steps forward and says, "It won't be long before our nation summons heroes. I believe we should avoid any reckless actions in the coming months. This is the perfect time to strengthen faith. We will simply spread news about someone disrespecting the church, and when that happens, the Order of Light will not let it slide." And that's the end of today's episode. Stay tuned for more. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Our episode today begins with Takumi using his magic to create a carriage, leaving his friend Riva completely amazed. Takumi tells her that one day she will be able to make one herself. because she possesses key qualities that any alchemist needs. Her eyes always light up with excitement whenever she watches things being put together. He assures her that he will help her improve quickly. Meanwhile, we see Sophia watching them from a distance. The next morning, Takumi stands before the carriage, having completed its construction. An old man approaches him and asks who the magnificent carriage belongs to. Takumi replies that he is presenting it as a gift to His Majesty, the King. The old man praises him, saying, "You're truly amazing, Takumi." Takumi is surprised that the man knows his name. Then his friends arrive and call the old man His Majesty, King Lobo Sparkula. Takumi is shocked to realize that this man is actually the king himself. The king wanted to meet Takumi outside the palace, away from the formal setting of a meeting hall, so he could personally thank him. Thanks to Takumi, the royal capital found a solution to its sewer problems. Takumi expresses his gratitude, relieved that he wasn't dragged into the crossfire of Sidonia. Later, we see Takumi and his friends leaving the castle. The king then orders his guards that he will not be meeting anyone else for the day. A few days after returning from the royal capital, Takumi buys the mansion he had been renting from the Babbitt Company, officially making it his own. Later, we see Takumi sitting with the girls, suggesting that he increase their monthly allowance. However, they refuse, telling him that they are content with the way things are and don't need any extra money. Meanwhile, in the Holy Empire of Sidonia, we see a girl holding the magical device used to purify the sewers in Bolton. She stares at it with a strange expression, leaving us uncertain about her intentions, whether she plans to do something sinister or has other motives. Back with Takumi, Riva tells him that she wants to register with the Adventurers Guild and become an adventurer like Sophia and Maria. She believes this will allow her to assist him as an alchemist and enhance her stats and mana. The receptionist hands her a card, officially recognizing her as an adventurer. The receptionist then asks Takumi, "Aren't you going to name your team Takumi? Your group is one of the elite squads in the guild. You can't remain nameless forever." Takumi responds that he never intended to be an adventurer in the first place and hasn't thought about naming his team. Suddenly, Barak appears and declares that he will train Takumi to become a proper adventurer. He drags Takumi outside and puts him through a series of attacks, repeatedly asking him if he has come up with a name for his team yet. Every time Takumi hesitates, Barak strikes him again. Later, Takumi meets up with his friends and tells them how Barak kept beating him up. Every time Takumi suggested a team name that Barak didn't like, he would hit him even harder. Rina starts thinking about a name and comes up with an extremely long one, but Takumi tells her that won't work. Another girl suggests the toilets, but Takumi groans when I told Barak that he threw me 4 or 5 times. Maria gets frustrated that they still haven't found a suitable name. She even compares herself to a useless toilet, saying she has no value except for, well, Takumi calms her down, saying, "Relax, Maria. Barak told me to completely erase toilets from my mind. The name needs to be strong." He then turns to Sophia and asks if she has any ideas. Sophia, however, is fuming. "How dare that man do all that to you, Takumi?" Her anger keeps rising and she declares, "I'm going to teach him a painful lesson." But Takumi quickly tries to calm her down. She looks ready to take on the massive Barak herself. Wait, he's just training me, that's all. But yeah, the training was brutal. Meanwhile, in the Sidonia Empire, 10 months ahead of Takumi's present timeline, warriors are fiercely training in swordsmanship. Yamato, a skilled fighter, is studying tactics and strikes. He wants to grow even stronger. He turns to his friend and asks if she's worried about the maid who's been with them, as she always seems to be watching from afar. The friend shrugs it off and leaves. Later, alone at home, she starts pondering the history of humans, elves, and other races, reflecting on the wars that once tore them apart. She wonders about their country's role. The church summoned us here, but we have no idea what they truly want from us. They claim it's for world peace, but what are they really planning? Maybe the truth will come out eventually. Back with Takumi, he is speaking with Riva, the new alchemist girl, and hands her a ring. This is for activating spells. He then gives her a staff, no ordinary staff, but one wrapped in a rare mithril alloy. "I need to equip you properly so we can take on powerful enemies." Riva is beyond grateful for the weapons. Just then, Kaide appears, furious about something. Before she can explode, Takumi hands her a weapon. Her anger vanishes instantly and she beams with happiness. "I knew you'd need one," Takumi tells her. "This weapon is perfect for you and your thread-controlling abilities." He had even asked Riva for help in crafting it. Kaide thanks them both deeply. Later, Takumi resumes training and Barack Obama puts him through sheer hell. He slams Takumi into the ground over and over. Takumi thinks to himself, "At this rate, Sophia's going to lose it and start a fight with this guy." But surprisingly, she doesn't. Instead, she calmly tells him, "Takumi, your defense is full of weak spots. It's seriously bad. You need to focus more. The Guildmaster's attacks are targeting your weak points directly." Afterward, they head to the guild where the receptionist asks, "Are you interested in accepting a bodyguard mission?" Takumi, still sore from the relentless beating, groans. Barack Obama chimes in, "That's a great idea. If you complete it successfully, Takumi, your rank will go up." The mission requires him to escort a carriage to the town of Kilobos and back, a 4-day trip, 2 days there and 2 back. The request comes from Babik Trading Company. Takumi accepts, realizing it's a big decision. The next morning, the group sets off, led by Kade and her swift horse. Takumi and the man he's escorting travel behind them, chatting along the way. The man thanks Takumi for taking on the mission, saying he feels much safer now. He then mentions something unexpected. "Oh, and we'll also be bringing back some milk." Takumi's eyes widen. "Wait, there's milk." The man nods. "Yes, Takumi. They make white cheese there." An hour into their journey, they encounter a battle between goblins and jungle wolves. Suddenly, Camellia unleashes her lightning magic, electrocuting every single enemy in one massive strike. Maple kills them in the blink of an eye because they were completely weak. After that, they arrive at the town of Kelbos. Once they rest for a bit, it's time for lunch. When they sit down to eat, they find a variety of delicious dishes. As they take their first bites, they are overwhelmed by how amazing the food tastes, filling them with joy. Later, Takumi decides to buy some milk and cheese before heading home, as the market in this town stays open at night. When night falls, they sit down for dinner, and once again, the food is absolutely delicious. As Takumi eats, he reflects on how he arrived in this world just a few months ago, yet it feels like years have passed. He doesn't want to go back to his old life. This world is just too good, and the reason? The milk and cheese here are simply out of this world. Then, Takumi asks Sophia if rice exists in this world. She responds that if he means the grains eaten in the kingdom of Samander, they weren't available in the market, they were only sold in the royal capital. This shocks Takumi. If he had known that earlier, he would have checked there. He's heard rumors about rice and really wants to try it. Curious, he then asks Sophia how she feels about her homeland since it's been over a decade since she left. She replies that she prefers enjoying the present rather than reminiscing about the past. She lived under a curse like a bird trapped in a cage for 50 years, but forming a contract with him gave her a new life. She often wonders what adventures await her and the rest of the group. They've given her a wonderful life, so there's no need to dwell on the past, only the future matters. The other girls chime in, saying they love their life with him, which makes Takumi incredibly happy. Feeling inspired, he decides to come up with a name for their team. The name Nolan's Wings comes to him since all of them were given wings to escape their cages. The girls all agree that it's a perfect name. After successfully completing their escort mission, they return to Bolton. That night, as Takumi enters the mansion, he suddenly smells a paralysis-inducing poison. Reacting quickly, he covers his nose before it affects him. He looks behind him and sees Sophia tied up by a group of men. One of them attacks, but thanks to Maple, Takumi manages to beat him down. He then heals Sophia and the others. When Sophia regains consciousness, she thanks him profusely, but also apologizes for failing him. Takumi asks why the men were able to paralyze her, to which she responds that both she and Maple have resistant skills against paralysis and poison. Maple then asks what they should do about the criminals outside. She had seen them lurking around while leading Camellia to the stable, so she suspected there were intruders inside as well. She quickly entered her pocket dimension and witnessed the attack unfold. She then asks if the criminals are armed, noting that this attack seems carefully planned. It might be best to call for help from the Adventurers Guild. Takumi agrees and asks her to go fetch Barack. When Barack arrives, Takumi explains the situation to him. Barack assesses the scene and tells him they must report this to the governor. Immediately, this could be a major disaster in the making. And that's where the episode ends. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell.
Our episode begins with Takumi in a meeting with Goodwin and his companions, where Goodwin informs him that the thieves who infiltrated Lord Aroma's house last night were actually members of the Divine Light Squadron. These extremists execute anyone they deem to be defying the teachings of the Church of Divine Light. They were sent by the Holy Empire of Sidonia, and their main goal was not theft, but to take Takumi's head. It seems that the reason for the attack is the purification magic tool invented by Lord Aroma. Takumi realizes that this makes sense, since the use of light magic was excessive from the beginning. He suggests going to another town to hide, but Goodwin tells him to stay in Bolton, as it will be safer than any other town. He assures him that they will provide all kinds of support and protection, increasing the number of city guards to monitor who enters and leaves. Barack then states that the most important thing right now is ensuring Takumi's safety while he ventures outside. Takumi asks him to stop adventuring for a while due to the dangerous situation, but Barack refuses, saying that his team is one of the top 5 in the entire town. Sophia reassures Takumi not to worry, vowing to protect him even at the cost of her life. Barack also promises to grant him many skills to help him defeat enemies with ease. Takumi then leaves with Sophia and Barack, realizing that he is now a target of Sidonia's Church of Light. He recalls the night he was attacked and how it put the lives of Sophia, Maria, and Riva in danger. They arrive at the guild where the receptionist tells Takumi that he has chosen a name for his team, Nolan's Wings. The receptionist also informs him that rumors about the attack on him have spread and a large bounty has been placed on his head. Some adventurers might try to deceive the guild and accept unethical missions just for the money. That night, Takumi and his female companions have dinner together, and he shares what the receptionist told him. He apologizes for putting them in danger, but the girls reassure him that they are friends and will protect each other. Everyone is ready to fight. Takumi then mentions that he is thinking of creating an improved magical device to set up a barrier around the mansion that will keep out anyone who is not registered, though it will only be active when they are not outside on adventuring missions. Sophia suggests they immediately search for an attacker or a warehouse, noting that some adventurers work solo, but asking someone to form deep bonds with the team right away will be difficult. She recommends checking with Milan Company. Takumi agrees, as using a magic contract is the safest method. The next morning, as Takumi and his companion prepare to create the magic device, Sophia arrives and asks to join them to learn more about magical tools. Takumi assigns her a task, engraving alchemical circles onto the metal plates. Sophia and Riva then complete their first task, engraving the symbols. Takumi applies the magic material to the plates. Meanwhile, we see Spider-Girl training Camellia, the horse, for battle, determined not to lose to a mere golem. Riva then asks Takumi if golems fall under the field of alchemy, to which he replies that they do. He explains that while the magic circle engraved in their control cores is highly complex, he has not yet experimented with such things due to his insufficient mana control level. Takumi then activates his magic on the engraved plates, allowing them to be placed around the mansion, preventing strangers from entering. Meanwhile, in the Holy Empire of Sidonia, 2 guards inform the king that the Divine Light Squadron has been captured and did not have the chance to commit suicide. The king asks if a magic contract was used on them, but the guard assumes that believers from the Church of Light orchestrated the attack. The princess suggests cutting ties with Barcola Kingdom and proceeding with their own plan. Another guard then reports that they failed to analyze the magic circle discovered in the ruins. However, based on the explanations in a small manuscript, it might be an activation spell for summoning. The king asks when they will be ready to execute the plan, and Homer responds that they will need 2 to 3 months to gather the required mana. Back with Takumi and his friends, he struggles to use his magic on the device. Spider-Girl asks him why he insists on having a golem, and he explains that having one would increase their security. He acknowledges that he still needs to improve his control over the summoning spell to tame a golem. Sophia then tells him that wildstone golems have been spotted in the western region, as well as Demas near the forest. Takumi suggests they enter Demas and face the iron golem. The group then sets off toward the rocky plains west of the Death Forest, where they spot a golem. They are amazed by its massive size. Sophia informs them that it is a Ruins Guardian-class golem, and to defeat it, they must aim for the magic stone in its chest. The control core is its weak point. Destroying it is the same as killing the golem. But Takumi chooses not to kill it just yet. The golem almost spots them with its glowing eyes, but they quickly hide. Sophia whispers, "This thing looks really dangerous. We should ignore it." But Takumi has a different idea. If it's this strong, that means it could be even more valuable, as an ally. Without hesitation, he rushes forward, stopping right in front of the golem. The others immediately take defensive positions, ready to fight. "Wait! Don't attack!" Takumi orders. "This might be easier than it looks. I can feel some kind of connection with it." The golem inches closer, its massive face just inches away from Takumi's, who is now shaking with fear. But there's no hostility. Takumi carefully tries to tame it, and to everyone's shock, he succeeds effortlessly. Even Takumi can't believe it, and the others are completely stunned. The golem is now their new companion. Takumi thinks for a moment before giving it a name, Titan, after the legendary giant from a myth he once knew. The group welcomes their newest ally. Titan then signals to Takumi, asking for a more flexible body so it can move more easily. Yusef warns, "That's risky. If we bring this thing into the city, it'll cause chaos." Takumi thinks for a moment. "I'll just use my pocket dimension." But before he can act, Titan suddenly starts to shrink. Or rather, it didn't collapse, it just got smaller. It turns out this is a special ability it possesses. Titan is no longer a towering giant. Meanwhile, in the Sidonia Empire, the soldiers are training intensely when Akane spots 2 guys casually hanging around with some girls. "Seriously? Don't you have any shame?" she scolds. "This is not the time for flirting." One of them smirks. "What's wrong, Akane? You jealous?" Akira is clearly messing with her. Annoyed, Akane storms off. Back to Takumi. He is deep in thought, trying to figure out how to rebuild Titan's body. Then he gathers the girls and tells them something unexpected. "If you stay with me, you'll always be in danger. So, I'm dissolving our contracts." Shocked, Sophia glares at him. "Since when have you been planning this?" "Since the first time we were attacked," he admits. "Why are you doing this?" one of them asks. "Who's going to protect you now?" Takumi sighs. "Well, thanks to Titan, I'll be fine. As for Maple and Camellia, they're just pets, so they'll stay with me. But you 3, you should live a peaceful, safer life. Thank you for everything." He then adds, "And don't worry, I'll compensate you handsomely. I'll pay all the money we've earned so far so you can live comfortably." Then he turns to Riva. "I'll also send money to your family so they can live in peace." Tears start to form. "That's not what we meant," Takumi continues. "I know it sounds like a lot of money, but think of it as severance pay." Sophia clenches her fists. I refuse. Maria, however, is furious. She points her weapon at him. You idiot, she yells. Why do you always put us before yourself? We're never leaving you. Tears stream down her face. We're with you in both hardship and victory. We're your wings, Takumi. If you lose us, you'll never be able to fly again. Maria breaks down, and soon everyone is crying. Sophia speaks up. That's the worst thing we could ever hear from you. Don't ever say that nonsense again. Takumi, overwhelmed, remembers all the moments they shared, especially Maria's first day with them. Tears fill his eyes. I'm so sorry. Later, they all head to the garden. Titan has finished his transformation. His new body is shining brilliantly. Takumi grins. So, how do you like your new body? Titan speaks for the first time. It's amazing, my lord. Takumi had used special alloys to craft an armor of incredible beauty and strength, making Titan even more powerful. Now Titan stands tall, not just as an ally, but as a force that could even rival a dragon. Takumi is overjoyed with his work. But elsewhere, a group of people is secretly scheming. A queen with golden hair smirks. Perhaps the time has come. What is she planning? What will happen next? Find out in the next episode. Our episode today begins in that abandoned village near the city of Bolton. Suddenly, everyone is leaving the village, angry and frustrated. It seems that the nobles ordered them to leave. The situation was utterly hopeless. They abandoned the village and fled to neighboring lands. These people had worked tirelessly, many of them perishing from the harsh labor. Yet the nobles did not acknowledge their suffering. Instead, they slaughtered many of them. What is the story behind these events? Stay with us until the end to uncover the full truth. The scene now shifts to the castle, where the king speaks with his officials. One of them reports, more than 1,000 citizens have abandoned their village, and it's all because of those foolish nobles who forsake their people. But unfortunately, there's no use in being angry now. We must not abandon those who have lost their homes. A white-haired official then informs the king, Count Rockford has sent us a letter requesting that we secure shelter for the refugees. The king contemplates. With over 1,000 people, we'll need a vast area of land for them to settle. He then points to a spot on the map and says, this is our only option. It's the most suitable location. However, there's a significant problem. The land is overrun by monstrous creatures. It won't be easy to develop, but there is no other choice. Only one person is capable of solving this crisis. Yes, it's Takumi. The scene now shifts to Takumi and his exceptionally strong party. He had been wanting to challenge a dungeon for quite some time, so they ventured into a dungeon ranked A, the second most difficult dungeon in the region, known as the Forest of the Beast King. Despite being underground, the dungeon had a vast forest and an open sky. The monsters within were noticeably stronger than those outside, and there were many of them. Jacob, the intelligent spider, carefully observed their movements, even though visibility was poor. Titan, on the other hand, excelled at enduring the monsters' relentless attacks. One by one, they defeated the bosses of each floor, collecting treasures and items from the treasure chests. After an entire day, they finally reached the final floor. Everyone was excited. At that moment, a trap was triggered. Takumi stepped on a peculiar stone, and suddenly a massive boulder came rolling toward them. They ran for their lives and, after dodging the trap, continued forward until they arrived at a strange location. It seemed as if they had been lured there. Moments later, the final boss appeared. It was a massive beast. Everyone was terrified. It was an earth dragon of S rank. The dragon immediately launched an attack. Takumi commanded Jacob and Titan to immobilize its tail. They attempted to hold it down, while Sophie struck it with a powerful blow. The entire team worked together, launching one attack after another. Titan unleashed his powerful yellow light explosion, causing a massive detonation. But the dragon survived. It absorbed the energy and retaliated, sending Titan crashing into the ground with a devastating strike. At that moment, Sophie deduced its weakness. It was its wings. Takumi quickly summoned Camellia, who rammed into its wing with full force. Takumi seized the opportunity, leaping forward and thrusting his sword deep into the dragon's mouth. The creature erupted in a massive explosion. Finally, the treasure chest appeared. Additionally, Camellia evolved into a dragon horse, growing even larger. Takumi picked up a piece of the dragon's remains and was shocked. He might be able to craft something powerful from it. Afterward, they returned home. But before long, Takumi was summoned by Marquis Gadwan, the king. The king looked at him and said, "Listen carefully. Do you know about the undeveloped land in the southern sector of my territory?" Takumi nodded. "Yes, it's not just an uninhabitable wasteland. I've heard that it's infested with so many monsters that even neighboring nations avoid it entirely. It was once invaded, but the attempt failed, forcing the invaders to retreat. They also say that the region is rich in adamantite and mithril ore, but I don't know the full story." The Marquis then said, "Listen carefully. Would you be willing to establish a pioneering village in that land?" Takumi was shocked. "Why me, Your Excellency?" The Marquis replied, "Because you are the only one who can do it. I was told that you managed to construct a sturdy wall around the village in a short amount of time. That's why I am entrusting you with this task. I believe you can make it happen." The minister then informs him that about 100 kilometers south of Bolton, there is a river and a spring. He believes it would be best to start building the village around this water source since it is somewhat farther from the monster's territory. At this moment, Sophie intervenes, warning them that the situation is extremely dangerous. The Marquis sighs and acknowledges, "Unfortunately, we are well aware of the risks, but we have no choice. There are many people who desperately need a place to settle. These refugees lost their village over a year ago. Development had started, but corrupt nobles interfered, ruining everything. The villagers lost their homes and became refugees. That is why I need a settlement built for them as soon as possible." Takumi finally agrees. He cannot ignore people who have lost their homes. His compassion won't allow it. He recalls his own past, when he was homeless a year ago, and how a kind community welcomed him with open arms. Now he wants to repay that kindness and protect these people. The scene shifts to the construction site. Takumi unleashes his incredible abilities, erecting a massive wall and digging water-filled trenches along the outer borders. A sturdy fortress is established, and the entire team works tirelessly to improve everything. Roads are built, water flows through the new canals, and they begin clearing out the surrounding forest to keep the monsters at bay. Sophie, riding Camellia at full speed, rushes to Bolton to request the transfer of the refugees. 10 days later, the village is completed. The king, upon hearing the news, is stunned. What? He finished building it in just 10 days? That's unbelievably fast. Sophie then tells him that Takumi has stated that the villagers should be able to live their daily lives without any trouble. Meanwhile, we see the pioneers heading toward the southern border, as per Makoto's request. This land is supposedly undeveloped and infested with monsters, meaning they will need to clear the area near the monsters before cultivating it. A man from Bolton has been assigned to oversee these operations, which makes the pioneers nervous. They fear being wiped out by the creatures. Upon arriving at Makoto's settlement, the pioneers are warmly welcomed. Makoto acknowledges their exhaustion after their long journey and explains that he has been working on preparing the land for farming. The leader of the group looks confused, so Takumi steps in, explaining that he built protective walls around the village to defend against monster attacks. Additionally, he dug a water-filled trench around the settlement, ensuring it remains safe, unless, of course, they are attacked by a dragon or something similar. Takumi then points out the buildings he constructed for the settlement's new residents, explaining that he also built a camp for the knights. Furthermore, a sewer system has been installed using magical tools. The leader expresses his gratitude for Takumi's efforts and asks how such a massive project was completed in such a short time. He is amazed, realizing that this is no longer just a village but a full-fledged fortress. Takumi humbly responds that the work is not yet finished and that he used magic to speed up the construction process. At this moment, we see Mani, awestruck by the city she will now call home. Sophie approaches her and asks if she is here alone. Mani nods, revealing that her husband passed away in their old village. Sophie then asks if she has any interest in a job unrelated to farming. If so, she could work for Takumi, the one who built this settlement. With everyone currently busy developing the land, Sophie assumes that Takumi might need someone to help take care of things for him. She then asks Mani if she is good at cooking, inviting her to meet Takumi. Mani follows Sophie to Takumi's house, where he welcomes her. He tells her that he has already learned her story from Sophie and would like her to help take care of things. He assures her that he will pay her whatever wage they agree upon. Mani falls silent for a moment before apologizing and refusing the offer. She then asks them why they came to this village in the first place. "Are we going to face despair again after coming here?" "I cannot trust you," she declares. Takumi simply smiles and tells her that they can put the offer on hold for now. As she leaves, Mani is certain that after saying such words, she will no longer be allowed to stay here. She believes that Takumi now has his eyes on her and that she cannot remain in this place. To her, he is no different from the nobles of the past. She refuses to relive the horrors of her previous experiences. Frustrated with her own helplessness, she suddenly senses something nearby. Suddenly, news reaches Takumi that many monsters are approaching. He immediately orders his men to raise all the drawbridges and seal off the village. Then, he instructs Commander Duran to have his knights ensure the safety of the villagers. No monster can get past these walls, and they will deal with the ones outside. As the walls begin to rise, we see Mani outside the village, running desperately to make it inside before it's too late. Meanwhile, inside the village, no one can find her, causing panic among the villagers. Takumi reassures them, promising that he won't let a single villager be harmed. Back outside, Mani stands frozen before the monsters, unable to do anything. Just then, Takumi rushes to her rescue. She quickly warns him that many more monsters are approaching the village. Takumi confidently responds that they pose no real threat. At that moment, his warriors arrive and report that they have already dealt with the monsters with ease, as they weren't even worthy opponents. Takumi congratulates them. Mani notices that Takumi's hand has been injured, scratched by a bush wolf's claws. Feeling guilty, she apologizes, but Takumi reassures her that he won't let anyone harm the villagers. He wants them all to live peacefully. Impressed by his kindness and noble heart, so different from any noble she has ever known, Mani offers to become his servant, just as he had once wanted. Takumi happily accepts her offer, overjoyed that she is joining them. The rest of the group warmly welcomes her. Meanwhile, in the Holy Empire of Sidonia, the king receives a written message from the Kingdom of Traria regarding Takumi's fortress town. It mentions that the fortress has a solid castle, built on undeveloped lands near the Kingdom of Barcola. Additionally, they have reported that Bolton has sent his stationed knights to live in the village with Takumi. This news enrages the king. At that moment, Elizabeth arrives, declaring that they cannot allow the Kingdom of Barcola to do as they please. The ones who should dominate this continent must be none other than the Holy Empire of Sidonia. Back with Takumi and his companions, he tells them that they will use this path for trade, so perhaps it would be best to expand it a little. Mani then arrives with their lunch, having prepared a great feast for them. However, while eating, they suddenly sense an eerie and unfamiliar mana. Takumi recalls the words of the Saintess, who had told him that he had been sent 1 year before the summoning of the heroes. Realizing that exactly 1 year has passed since his arrival, he understands. They have finally come. And that's where today's episode ends. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any new content.
Liam finds himself in the body of a young man from a family on the brink of collapse, and he decides to explore his dream of learning magic, only to discover that his newfound passion may change both his fate and that of his family forever. Our story begins with a boy waking up to find himself seated at a grand dining table during a lavish celebration. He is bewildered, wondering where he is and why he is there, as the last thing he remembers before falling asleep was being at his work desk. When he looks into a mirror, he screams in shock. His face has changed, and he now appears as a young child. Next, we see Count Hamilton, who instructs him to behave properly, addressing him as Liam, the fifth son of the Hamilton family. The boy then realizes that this Count is his father and that he has been transported to another world, taking on the identity of Liam. A maid informs him that the Count is in a good mood today because he has finally been blessed with a daughter after having only sons. The following morning, Liam wakes up and the maid brings him his clothes. Liam reveals to us that the owner of this body is named Liam Hamilton, the fifth son of the Count, but he has no idea why this has happened to him. We then see Liam sitting with his older brother, Bruno, the fourth son of the family. Bruno tells Liam that their family is on the brink of ruin because this is the natural cycle dictated by the kingdom. Families either achieve great accomplishments or lose their status after 3 generations. If their father does not allow their eldest brother to inherit the title, their family will become commoners. Their teacher enters the room to begin their lesson for the day, which is about magic. Liam becomes very excited, much to Bruno's surprise. Bruno questions Liam's enthusiasm, explaining that only 1 out of every 100 people possesses magical talent. After the lesson, Liam rushes to the library, grabs a book on magic, and tries using magic. To his astonishment, he succeeds. Liam then takes several books on magic from the library and starts studying magic diligently day after day. A month later, we see Liam in the forest with his brother. Liam casts a magic spell, surprising his brother, who is astonished that Liam managed to learn magic in just 1 month. When Bruno tries to use magic himself, he fails. Liam realizes that his body must have had magical talent all along, and if he can master magic, he will secure a place for himself in the kingdom. Liam returns home and decides to advance to learning ice magic, but his father appears and requests to see his magical abilities. Liam demonstrates his ice magic on a book, but admits he is still a beginner in ice magic. He proudly shows his fire magic skills instead. His father is amazed that Liam mastered fire magic in just 1 month and becomes very pleased. He tells Liam to take any magic books he desires from the library. Shortly after, a guard whispers something to the Count, who then orders his soldiers to gather immediately. As Liam walks outside, he sees a boy named Raymond sitting under a tree. Raymond asks Liam if he is indeed one of the Hamilton family members. When Liam confirms, Raymond cryptically tells him to do whatever he pleases. Liam is puzzled by his words and asks what exactly he means. Raymond initially assumes Liam has come to capture him, but Liam, unaware of anything, explains that he's just a child. When Raymond notices the magic book in Liam's hand, he realizes Liam is learning basic magic. Raymond advises Liam that the best way to learn magic is through consistent and regular practice. Liam responds that he knows this, which is why he was on his way to train. Raymond, wanting to teach Liam a better and more effective way to use magic, demonstrates by channeling 5 elements of magic simultaneously in one hand. Liam is astonished by this feat and eagerly agrees to be trained by Raymond, who notes that Liam lacks the meaningless pride typical of most nobles. Raymond starts by asking Liam to draw a circle with his left hand and a square with his right hand simultaneously. Liam successfully does this. Raymond explains that magic works similarly. He must use different spells with each hand. Liam tries this and manages to cast 2 types of magic at the same time. Raymond is impressed because this technique, known as the Enigma, can only be mastered by 1 in a million people. Raymond then trains Liam to use 3 types of magic simultaneously. Liam succeeds briefly but quickly runs out of magical energy. Thinking he failed, Liam is reassured by Raymond, who explains that the technique consumed too much energy, and Liam's success was already a significant achievement. To help Liam control his magical energy better, Raymond asks him to sit on the ground and draws prime numbers in front of him. When Liam reads the numbers, Raymond explains that the technique relies on prime numbers because using sequential numbers could cause problems with even and odd transitions, like moving from 4 to 6 or 9. After some practice, Raymond asks Liam about his age. Liam replies that he is 12 years old. Raymond tells him he has a bright future and that his ability to listen to advice is a great weapon. When Raymond asks if Liam wants to learn more magic, Liam eagerly agrees. Raymond then gives him a magical ring, explaining that it contains the equivalent of 100 magic books. Liam is thrilled and puts on the ring, instantly feeling over 300 spells flowing into his mind. Raymond asks Liam to try casting a spell. Liam uses the wind bullet spell and succeeds. However, when Liam turns to talk to Raymond, he finds him gone. Just then, Liam's maid arrives, bringing him his magic book. She warns him about the dangers of being out here alone and gives him the book, stating that his father instructed her to deliver it. She then urges Liam to return to the castle quickly before walking away. Raymond reappears, explaining that he concealed himself using magic to avoid being seen. He advises Liam not to stay here any longer, but offers to teach him one final lesson. He asks Liam to open the book the maid brought. Inside, Liam finds a summoning spell for Salamander, a low-level fire spirit. Raymond instructs Liam to try casting this spell while wearing the ring. Liam places his hands on the magic book, and from it emerges a small creature. The man speaks to Liam, explaining that the book's magical contents should be seen as a notebook with blank pages, while the ring itself is not extraordinary but merely a tool to save him the burden of carrying the book. Liam, however, tells him he cannot accept such a valuable gift as the book is incredibly useful. Placing his hands on the book again, Liam summons various creatures and people, delighting in his success. The mentor disappears once more, prompting Liam to ask, "Did you use that concealment spell again?" The mentor replies, "Keep studying magic. We'll meet again someday, but don't tell anyone about me." Liam reflects, thinking to himself, "We spent such a short time together and I don't even know his name, but that man is my teacher." About a month after his teacher's departure, in the same training spot, Liam demonstrates significant progress in magic. Bruno approaches him, asking what he is doing. Liam explains about white charcoal, noting that it burns hotter than regular wood charcoal, produces no smoke, and lasts longer. Bruno is impressed and inquires how Liam managed it. Liam reveals he made it using magic. Bruno also notices something else and asks, "Are these liquor crystals? They can restore consumed magical energy? Did you make these using magic as well?" Liam nods, explaining that it was challenging at first since it required the simultaneous use of 5 types of magic. Bruno is astonished, acknowledging Liam's exceptional abilities. He reassures Liam, saying, "You'll be fine on your own in the future. I'm planning to marry into a lower-ranked but devout noble family. They're poorer than the Hamiltons, but I'll gain more freedom that way." Bruno shares more family history, revealing that after Liam's birth, their father desperately wanted a daughter to marry into the royal family to secure their noble standing. However, Liam was born as another son. Their father then sent 1,000 soldiers to defeat a powerful sealed beast on their land, hoping for glory. Unfortunately, the soldiers suffered a devastating loss, with 90% perishing. Bruno candidly admits that the Hamilton family's noble status is nearing its end and advises Liam to think about achieving independence. Liam thanks his brother for his honesty. After Bruno leaves, Liam contemplates securing funds for his independence. He decides he wants something with greater profit potential. While exploring, he eats at a local shop and is amazed by the food. The shopkeeper explains that pasta is very popular in the city. Inspired, Liam takes some pasta back to the castle and asks the maid to try it. Following his instructions, she pours hot water on it, and everyone is amazed by its flavor. The chef declares it delicious, even though it is preserved food. The scene shifts to Liam negotiating with a merchant. The merchant refuses to trade the goods, stating that only Liam's eldest brother, Sir Brevet, has the authority to conduct business on Hamilton land without permission. Frustrated, Liam vows not to let his brother monopolize their lands. He regrets not knowing about this law earlier and doubts his father will grant him the permission he needs to fund his independence. Determined, Liam heads to the forest. He explains a storage spell he learned from a magic encyclopedia, a useful spell that compresses items into a small storage space. Initially, the stored items vanished when the spell dissipated, but after a month of practice, Liam perfected it. He then successfully summons a magical clone of himself. Celebrating his progress, Liam sends the clone to the city, where it uses magic to create and sell various inventions. The money earned goes toward funding Liam's independence. The episode begins with Liam, now a bit older, still training to use magic. He has gained precise control over it, and at this time, his older brother Albrevet comes to him, mentioning that he has heard about how impressive Liam has become lately, as everyone is talking about his magical skills. He then asks Liam what he wants to become in the future, and Liam realizes that Albrevet is worried that Liam might replace him as the heir, since he eldest son of the Hamilton family and the future head of the family. Liam responds by saying that he would like to resign soon, if possible, and find a job that allows him to support himself. Albrevet then tells him about the Hunters Guild, where he can join. Liam goes to the guild to join, but when he enters, everyone is surprised to see him, as he is just a child. They mock him, saying that this place isn't for kids and that he should go to his father. But Liam ignores them and continues on his way to the president. When the president sees him, he recognizes him and asks him to take a test, since they can't send him to a place beyond his abilities, which could lead to his death. The president then asks Liam to cast an offensive spell he is skilled in, and even though Liam can't use his full power, he uses an illusion spell. The spell amazes everyone, as they have never seen such a high-level magic before. The president then tells him that he will grant him a rank B license. Liam leaves the guild, not understanding the importance of the rank B license. At that moment, a female adventurer named Asuna calls out to him, asking if they can hunt together, as hunting is very dangerous and working in a team is much safer. Liam agrees, as he likes cheerful people like Asuna. While they are walking in the forest, Liam asks her why they don't take any missions, and she explains that usually only those ranked A and above can take hunting jobs. At that moment, a pack of huge wolves appears, and Liam casts his gnome spell, summoning strange creatures that defeat the wolves. They then return to the guild with the defeated monsters. When the president sees them, he decides to hire them for a task, as they are very strong. Indeed, they are given the task and head to the forest, excited because this is their first job, meaning their strength has been recognized. They are tasked with hunting a giant larva, and Asuna is scared because she doesn't know how to deal with such a monster. These creatures have magical stones inside their bodies, and sometimes they use magic or advanced combat techniques, making them much more dangerous than ordinary beasts. At this moment, Liam decides not to use his illusion magic today, as he wants all his resources to be available. They try to hunt the giant larva using various methods, but it's too tough and no spells seem to work on it. Then an idea comes to Liam. He plans to have Asuna distract the larva, making it chase her while Liam will drop a large box on it. This strategy succeeds, and they manage to kill the larva. They return to the guild with 2 larvae, the second of which Liam found by quickly using a spell to detect enemies. The president is once again amazed by their strength and increases their reward 5-fold, which makes them very happy. Later, a significant person named James Stanley arrives at the guild and requests to meet Liam. When they sit together, James welcomes him and tells him that he's the 5th son of Raymond. James then asks about Liam's connection to Raymond, as the ring on Liam's finger belongs to Raymond. Liam doesn't know what he's talking about, so James explains that Raymond had given him the ring. James laughs, saying that Raymond often sneaks into the most dangerous places. James then speaks to Simon and orders him to stand in a corner. He asks Liam to cast his strongest offensive spell on Simon because he wants to see the full extent of Liam's strength. Liam thinks about using chance, as he has researched them and learned that they temporarily raise the maximum limit of his magic power. Suddenly, he casts the spell on Simon, and James is amazed by the power. He tells Liam that he should become independent in the future and will grant him the title of knight. Liam agrees, though he will stay with his family until he reaches adulthood. Afterward, Liam performs the ritual and officially becomes a knight, with James giving him a powerful sword. James then tells him that there is nothing specific he must do. He mentions that escaping from his brother's hostility will be a big challenge, and his father might feel conflicted as he hoped to use Liam's power for the family. Liam reflects on this, and James tells him that he can help in various ways, as his accomplishments will reflect back on his family. James then asks Liam if he has ever felt like Raymond tricked him. Liam recalls a time when he was training a spell for a storage box and ended up absorbing all the water from a lake. Raymond had sent him a message saying he had mastered the spell and wouldn't collect gold ingots, so he scattered gold dust into the lake instead. The scene continues with the message from Liam's mentor explaining that the gold dust in the lake was just a disguise for his graduation gift. The real gift is something hidden nearby, a treasure not immediately obvious. This is the true graduation gift. Later, we see Liam in the forest where he uses his storage box spell to absorb all the water from the lake. He mixes in the gold dust, telling himself that it's no different from leaving the gold ingots in the lake. He then opens the box, descending into it, and reads a message from his mentor, which explains that the true gift is a powerful magical book, something his mentor could not use, but hopes Liam can. The book contains a spell for creating a space in another world, one that expands according to the user's magical ability. No one can enter without the user's permission, and the items inside will not disappear once the spell is fully mastered. This spell is similar to the storage box, but it allows living creatures, including humans, to enter. Liam is excited and wonders if he could even build a secret magical house in this new world. He thanks his mentor and is eager to train with the new spell. A month later, we see Liam and Asuna in the forest battling a monster using his magic. Afterward, Liam uses the new spell to create a barrier and protect them from a spell the monster cast. They defeat the monster, and as they return to the guild with the magical stone, the man there recognizes it as a rank item from a giant frog. He remarks that they should have struggled more, but thanks them for what they've done. Asuna, feeling the need to become stronger, expresses her concern that Liam will leave her behind. The man explains that she could become his follower through a contract which would increase her strength to protect her master. Asuna asks Liam if they can make such a contract, confident that he won't do anything strange, and Liam agrees. The man activates the contract between them, making him the witness. Asuna gains a new skill called Accelerator. Liam explains that this is the power of a follower's contract and expresses his desire to conduct more research. However, for that, they need an experimental sample, which may be done willingly or unwillingly. Next, the scene shifts to a house where Asuna introduces Liam to Judy, an experienced hunter who helps them with various tasks. Judy understands what's going on and agrees to help them, assuming they found someone special. Asuna recommends Judy as a great ally in battle. Afterward, they go to the guild and make a contract with Judy, who has a unique skill. They ask her about it, and she tells them to wait for a moment. We see Judy preparing sandwiches, which she takes to a wounded man, offering him a meal. After eating, the man says his wounds have completely healed. Judy comments that her cooking seems to heal wounds, and everyone is amazed by this unexpected ability. A few days later, at James' palace, Liam says that the first princess of the kingdom of Jamil, Princess Scarlet, is coming. He informs James that she is aware of his achievements. You have completed rank and missions in the Hunters Guild at the age of 12. You are a magician capable of casting up to 11 spells simultaneously, and you are an expert able to develop and strengthen your followers. Princess Scarlet is particularly interested in you, especially in your followers. You need to explain this to her. Liam refuses, saying that his followers are his friends, not for display, and they cannot simply obey his commands. He adds that he doesn't want to ask them to do anything. James, irritated, responds, "We are talking about the princess here," and orders Liam to leave. Later, we see the princess disguised as a maid. James apologizes to her, but she tells him it's not your fault, but don't speak to me like that. The episode ends with Liam leaving, and the narrator invites viewers to stay tuned for the next episodes. The video encourages viewers to like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell to receive updates on new content. The episode begins with Liam visiting Princess Scarlet Sherry in her castle. She requests that he tell her how he managed to defeat the flesh-eating larva and the giant frog. Liam recounts his actions, and she responds with surprise, saying it's the first time she's heard of someone defeating a giant frog without using high-level magic. She explains that the usual tactic is to eliminate them quickly with advanced magic. Liam expresses his desire to one day use such magic, mentioning that he's unsure of his own power. The princess then asks him about the contracts of his followers, wanting him to reveal them to her. Liam feels pressured and refuses, explaining that he cannot do so, as he won't allow his friends to be used as a spectacle. The princess laughs, remarking that she's never met someone like him before, and declares that he deserves a reward for his actions. She then bestows upon him the title of Baron, leaving Liam shocked, because he doesn't feel he's achieved anything worthy of such a rank. She responds that his words amuse her, and she's very happy to have met him, adding that this is far better than marrying him. The princess gives Liam a familiar book, a magical book used for forming contracts with followers. Liam is thrilled and eager to read it. He heads to the forest with the book to study it. knowing that his contracts will be nullified if he leaves the magical book behind before mastering its magic. At this moment, his brother Bruno appears to congratulate him on his reward. Bruno remarks that their brother Albrevet must be very upset now, as Liam has surpassed their father in rank. Liam is surprised, considering himself just a baron. Bruno explains that in their nation, nobles are divided into generations. The first generation achieves something on their own, while the second generation inherits their positions. Naturally, those who accomplish things themselves are more admired. Later that night, Liam is wandering around his home, reflecting on his new status above his father's rank. He encounters his brother Albrevet, who doesn't speak to him. Albrevet is visibly furious, thinking to himself how absurd it is that Liam, the fifth and least significant son, is now a baron. As he walks, Albrevet overhears two maids talking about Liam's recent achievements. Enraged, he orders them to resign and go work for the baron if they think he's so great. The maids apologize, and when Albrevet demands to know who they think is more accomplished, himself or Liam, they nervously reply that it's him. Satisfied, he leaves, determined to accomplish something that will make everyone talk about him instead. The next morning, we see Liam sitting with Judy and Asuna. Judy tells Liam that she wants to work with him forever because he's her master. Liam asks her to drop the title master and just call him by his name. The girls are delighted, noting that he acts like a noble despite being so young. Liam then asks if they are willing to stay with him in his group, and they both enthusiastically agree. Liam takes Judy, Asuna, and the others to a large training field. Asuna runs with all her strength, striking a monster and immediately killing it. Liam compliments her, noting that her movements have improved significantly. Judy then mentions that her vision has also improved a lot. Liam doesn't fully understand what she means, so Judy explains that for a marksman, vision is the most important thing. You can't hit something, you can't something. Liam then uses his power to enhance Judy's vision, allowing her to see from very far away. Asuna asks him how he did it, and Liam explains that he enhanced her eyesight. Judy asks him to do the same for her, but Liam refuses, explaining that he can't enhance her offensive power. It would only add strain to her body, just like how people break their bones when they crash into something. He reassures her that enhancing her vision is fine, though. Judy then tests the new ability and successfully takes out a distant target with a single shot. She thanks Liam profusely. Afterward, they return to the guild only to find it in chaos. When Liam enters to see what's happening, someone tells him that the eldest son of Hamilton caused a great deal of disorder after failing miserably at removing a seal. This reminds Liam of his brother, who had passed by without speaking to him earlier. Liam rushes to the forest to see what's going on and finds many guards lying in pools of their own blood, including his brother Albrevet. He calls out to him, and when he approaches, Albrevet tells him that he didn't do it, and that he didn't want to fail here. The guild leader strikes Albrevet on the head, knocking him unconscious, and orders the guards to take him back to the city. He then tells Liam about a wicked dragon named Rodden that had been sealed inside the forest by Liam's grandfather, but the seal has now been broken. Liam realizes this is the dragon his brother Bruno mentioned earlier. The guild leader explains that they had gathered guards and adventurers to reseal the dragon, but they face a problem. Radon's young offspring, known as Radon's children, are causing the chaos. Liam is shocked to learn that it was the dragon's children who caused all this destruction, meaning the dragon itself must be far stronger. The guild leader continues, explaining that the dragon had been sealed away for a long time, and it will take about a week for it to regain its full strength. They need to reseal it before it wakes up. Just then, Radon's children appear and attack some of the adventurers. Liam observes that they are only the size of medium-sized dogs. Asuna decides to try facing them, running at them in an attempt to dodge their attacks. During the encounter, Liam uses his power to strike them, but nothing happens to the creatures. With no other choice, the adventurers are forced to retreat. Liam thinks to himself that the monsters are stronger than he anticipated, and there are 3 of them. He asks Asuna to take Judy and escape, then uses his magic to banish the monsters into a magical box. He's happy that it worked successfully. The Duke praises him, saying that he defeated the monsters on his own and killed all 3. Later, we see the mages using their magic on the dragon. Asuna and Judy come to check on Liam, and he explains to them that he used a spell called Otherworld, which creates a separate space by chanting. Living creatures can enter this space, and Judy asks if that means the dragons are trapped inside. Liam assures her not to worry, explaining that since he hasn't fully mastered the spell yet, everything inside disappears every time. Asuna marvels at him, saying the spell isn't offensive, but he thought of using it in this way. Suddenly, the dragon speaks, surprising everyone. It says to Liam, "The term evil dragon is what humans call me. I don't bother with human standards. After a few centuries, they'll call me something else." The dragon seems to read Liam's thoughts and adds, "It looks like your life will be interesting. Will you take me with you? I want to see your life. I won't harm you. In fact, I'll help you, but it will be based on the foundation you've built with your own efforts." The dragon then tells Liam that it wants to take his power, saying, "I don't feel any hostility from you. In fact, you remind me of my teacher." The dragon enters Liam's body, and a dragon mark appears on his hand. The old man, surprised, explains that the evil dragon has absorbed into Liam. Liam feels the dragon's power coursing through his body and tries out his magic, finding that it has become incredibly powerful. The old man thanks Liam, saying that he saved them from the dragon. Liam responds that it's his fault for causing them trouble with the overwhelming mana he's been emitting. He then gives the old man and the others a box of supplies, which contains 10 kilograms of gold, telling them to consider it a disturbance tax. He asks them to distribute it, prioritizing the injured and those facing long recovery periods. The old man is impressed and comments, "If only you were the head of the Hamilton family instead of Albrivet." That night, Liam's father talks to him, saying, "A catastrophe would have occurred if not for your intervention. Thank you for cleaning up Albrivet's mess. I will keep him at home for a while. He's under house arrest for now." Liam thinks to himself that the guild leader mentioned that Albrivet might be disinherited in the worst-case scenario. His father continues, "Lord James is here in the city. Eventually, word of this will reach the kingdom, and someone will come to reward you." Later, Liam stands in front of his brother's room, thinking that he is partly responsible for Albrivet's reckless actions. He overhears his brother, furious, muttering to himself, "I can't believe Liam managed to defeat the evil dragon. I was supposed to do that." Liam hesitates at the door, wanting to enter, but hears his brother's words, "I only wanted to protect the Hamilton family." Feeling conflicted, Liam leaves and heads to his own room, pondering, "I had a strange dream, but I clearly remember it when I woke up. I was practicing magic," and he's excited to discover that he has new spells. The next day, Liam runs through the forest, trying out his magic. "I feel like I'm in another world. I should be able to use this once I've trained enough," he thinks. He successfully casts the spell, summoning a dragon that tells him will be very useful in battle once you master this spell. Just then, the princess arrives, and the dragon disappears quickly. She's astonished to see that Liam is able to use holy magic, especially since it's just a child. She explains, "I came to see you on behalf of Hamilton. I asked your father to deliver a message. Defeating the evil dragon is a great achievement, but the elders won't allow me to give you a title higher than Baron since you don't have land. So I'll award you the third-class Medal of Honor. People need to know the truth of the dragon's defeat and that there's a hero. They'll ask how you defeated the evil dragon, and I may need to announce your title depending on how you did it." Liam is taken aback, but the princess insists, "You've certainly mastered holy magic, there's no doubt about it." The next day, the princess's followers appear with 3,000 gold coins. Liam realizes that she did this so that no one would speak ill of him. Everyone is amazed by the amount of gold, commenting, "We've never seen this many gold coins before." And with that, today's episode ends. Stay tuned for the next episodes. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for all the latest updates. Our episode kicks off with Liam and Mr. James. Mr. James is straight up asking him if he really used magic or not. But Liam's like, "I can't really answer that, cause the princess paid him to keep it hush-hush." But then the prince insists, "Spill the beans, tell the truth. Cause defeating that dragon ain't no walk in the park." According to reports, the massive dragon turned into a light and entered your body, and everyone saw it happen. So Liam's over here checking every inch of his body, staying quiet for a minute. Then he finally says, "Yeah, I learned some spells. I've been using magic." He then shows off a powerful spell, saying it can remove poison and petrification. He's like, "This kind of magic is top tier, everyone's after it." Mr. James asks him if he's ever heard of the 3 Dragon Wars, and Liam's like, "No clue." So then the other guy explains there were 3 dragons, they fought each other once. One of them survived and took over after defeating the other 2. It's said that he used magic to establish a country, our country. Then Mr. James asks, "What do you think happens when a dragon joins with a human?" And Liam's like, "Well, maybe they got married and had kids." But nope, the truth's way crazier. Mr. James hits him with a straight-up question, "Didn't you join with a dragon, Liam?" And Liam's like, "Wait, what?" He's totally caught off guard, but then he realizes he's right. That dragon entered my body, we became one. So yeah, joining is basically merging together. This means Liam has the power to reshape and rebuild the country thanks to his newfound abilities. But he's got some cracks to figure out. First, like the Hamilton family, especially his dad, they earned their noble title by locking up the so-called evil dragon, but in reality, the dragon wasn't evil at all. They were tricking people, and the family ended up losing everything, but there's an even bigger problem. If that dragon's angry and wants revenge on our country, it could destroy everything. After all, he was wrongfully imprisoned. Liam reassures him, though, saying the dragon isn't mad. It actually told me before it entered my body. It seemed more interested in my life than anything. So, turns out the dragon actually saved our country without anyone realizing it. Pretty huge achievement, right? Mr. James is thrilled to hear this, totally pumped about it. After that, Liam walks off, talking to himself. He's thinking about how long casting spells take, and he realizes he needs to start casting them earlier. He also figures that shooting blank spells is a good way to practice. So as he walks through the city, he finally meets up with his two friends. They're like, hurry up, let's go. People are lining up to join your group now that you've defeated the evil dragon. So Liam gets handed a massive list of applicants, and he's totally shocked by how many there are. It turns out people are just trying to cash in on his success. After that, he heads back home and is hit with even more paperwork. The maid tells him it's a list of potential wives. Right then, his brother Bruno walks in and says, "This is one of the family relatives that I married off. She asked me to bring this to you and convince you to marry her." Dude, what did you do to get this famous? Liam's like, nothing much. I just took care of the evil dragon. Bruno's blown away by how popular Liam's gotten. Next, the scene shifts to when Liam and his friends head out into the forest. He uses a magic portal. Our episode begins with our heroes venturing into another world, determined to build an empire there. Everyone's hard at work, with Gulak acting as the foreman, giving construction orders and lending his skilled hands to the building efforts. Thanks to his expertise, the elves have made significant progress in constructing the village. Meanwhile, Liam is off training his magical abilities by hunting massive beasts. As he defeats these creatures, his skills grow stronger, and he clears the area of any threats that could endanger the group. During one of these training sessions, the princess appears, amazed by his abilities and strength. She tells him, "Liam, could you drop the formalities and call me by my name? I'm not a fan of all this royal nonsense. Right now, I'm just your servant." Liam, confused, responds, "What? That's not necessary. You don't have to serve me." The princess explains, "The blood of dragons flows through my mother's family. That's why women of my lineage often marry into royal families. As a woman with dragon blood in my veins, I see it as my duty to serve the great dragon Radin. Since that dragon resides within you now, it's only fitting that I serve you." At that moment, Radon, the dragon spirit inside Liam, speaks to him, instructing him to walk about a kilometer north. "You'll find something there that you'll really enjoy," Radon says. Liam relays the message to the princess, who agrees to follow him. They eventually arrive at a locked door leading to an underground chamber. Inside, they discover a black dragon. Liam's task is to defeat it, but through a puzzle. A name is written on the dragon's forehead, and Liam must remove one letter to change the meaning of the word into submit. The princess, quick-witted as ever, suggests removing the second letter from the right. Acting swiftly, Liam uses his power to erase the letter. The dragon instantly submits, acting as tame as a well-trained dog. The princess remarks, "It must recognize the dragon blood in my veins." She steps forward to tend to the dragon's wounds while Liam contemplates his next move. Just as Liam begins to relax, he hears a massive explosion. Rushing back like a rocket, he finds the village in ruins. Two villagers cry out for help, explaining that werewolves attacked them. Before Liam can respond, the werewolf leader emerges, snarling, "Get off this sacred land immediately or we'll tear you to shreds." Liam attempts to negotiate, but the werewolf refuses to listen and attacks with full force. Liam defends himself, unleashing his lightning powers to stun the werewolf. "I told you to listen." "I don't want to hurt you," Liam says, summoning the small dragon spirit Radon. With Radon's help, Liam finally manages to open a dialogue with the werewolf leader. He explains that his only goal is to protect the village and make it a safe haven. Eventually, the werewolf agrees to form a pact with Liam. Liam names the werewolf leader Chris, but to his shock, Chris transforms into a girl. "Wait, you're a girl? I thought you were a guy?" He blurts out. Shaking off his surprise, Liam reassures Chris, "Well, it doesn't matter. What's important is that you and your people are safe here now." With Chris and the newly allied werewolves joining the village, the rebuilding process accelerates. One day, Chris rushes up to Liam, hugging him tightly. She confesses, "I love you, and I'm so sorry for the damage we caused. I'll work extra hard to fix everything." Liam, determined to help as well, wishes he could repair the damage with his powers. Radon advises him, "You can do it through visualization. Picture the entire repair process clearly from start to finish." Liam tries it out using his newfound ability to restore a broken structure. Chris tests it by trying to damage it again, but it instantly returns to its repaired state. Thrilled with this new power, Liam steps outside to test it further. He fires off a magical projectile. which explodes with immense force rivaling a modern missile. Amazed by the display, Radin praises him. "You're a genius, Liam. Your abilities just keep evolving." And so the journey of building their empire continues, with Liam growing stronger and the group united by newfound bonds and alliances. At that moment, a group of fairies rushes to Liam, shouting, "Emergency! Emergency! Humans have invaded our land, chasing some of the fairies and causing massive destruction." Liam is shocked and immediately teleports to the scene. He sprints until he reaches the intruders and stands firmly in front of them. As he faces the humans, he recalls the promise he made to the fairies that he would become their leader and protector. He also remembers the princess pleading with him, saying, "Establish a new nation here." Turning to the soldiers, Liam declares, "This land is my nation now. Leave immediately." The soldiers laugh mockingly, retorting, "A nation? Oh, please, kid, you're just a delusional little boy." Undeterred, Liam fires 17 destructive cruise missiles, deliberately missing them but making his point clear. "That was your first and only warning," he says coldly. "This is my land, and if you think of invading it, I'll eliminate you without hesitation." One of the soldiers steps forward defiantly, sneering, "Get out of our way, you fool." Liam, unfazed, uses his powers to fling them away one by one. With a thunderous roar, he warns, "Don't ever come back here again." Afterward, Liam teleports back to the fairies, assuring them that they're safe. To his surprise, a massive number of fairies approach him, eager to form a pact. Shocked by their numbers, he begins contracting with them, starting at 2 p.m. and finishing around 5 p.m., by which point he's sealed agreements with over 100 fairies. The population of the land grows exponentially as a result. The scene shifts to Liam sitting with the group. He tosses a helmet onto the table. The others examine it and exclaim, "Wait, isn't this the emblem of the Balta Duchy?" The princess explains, "Balta is a state near this promised land. This means the humans who attacked last night were likely border guards. It's also possible that guards from Gemel and Questador and neighboring states will show up soon. There used to be a valley separating the 3 states, but now it's connected due to the reclamation of the promised land." Liam, deep in thought, says, "If that's the case, everyone's going to fight over this land, but I can't let this turn into a bloodbath. I need to find a peaceful solution." The princess, however, insists, "You must establish a nation here, Liam. A nation needs 3 things: land, people, and authority. We have the land. The people will come as your reputation spreads. That leaves authority, and for that, you'll need an army to protect the state." Chris steps forward and says confidently, "Leave the army to us werewolves. We're fast, skilled, and perfect for combat." Liam agrees, trusting her capabilities. In the meantime, Chris adds, "We'll continue building the village while demonstrating our strength. We'll repel any invaders, and soon people will realize that allying with us is in their best interest." But the next day, the situation escalates faster than anyone expected. A blonde-haired man named Leonardo appears, and the princess instantly recognizes him. That's Marquis Leonardo, a high-ranking noble from the kingdom of Gemel. He's here under direct orders from the king. Leonardo addresses them politely. "We have no intention of fighting you. In fact, we wish to propose an alliance. As a token of goodwill, we're offering the hand of Princess Scarlet in marriage." Liam is taken aback, wondering why they're so interested in him. He reflects on Scarlet's recent behavior, suspecting that the great dragon Radin might be influencing events. Liam then asks Leonardo directly, "Have you met Princess Scarlet before?" Leonardo tells Liam that he has seen her several times, which surprises Liam because he's lying, as Princess Scarlet standing next to him. Liam thinks about it because he wants to talk to the princess but doesn't want them to hear. So he communicates with her telepathically, saying, "Princess, keep calm and listen to me carefully. I will speak to you directly through telepathy, so do not say a word. Think it and I will understand." Then he proposes to her, asking for her hand in marriage. The princess accepts without hesitation, and Liam agrees to the deal, stating that it will be a great honor to marry her, but requests 1 year to show her the magnificent place he built. The envoy agrees and leaves to inform the king. We then see everyone working hard. Afterward, Liam's twin, or the other version of him, appears, and they leave together using teleportation to visit Scarlet's palace in the royal capital. Liam asks Scarlet for his twin's approval to come here. Later, his twin brings him. Then, Scarlet speaks to him, explaining that as a ruler, he must avoid being seen by anyone, and suggests having some tea together. The dragon then speaks to him, showing him a statue connected to the dragon Braddon. The queen's family, on his mother's side, has had this statue for many generations. Liam feels Braddon's power within it. He uses a spell on it, causing the statue to enter Scarlet, and she tries its power, astonished because it drained all her energy. This is due to the shield he gave her. Scarlet manages to use the same spell, and Liam wants to create a stronger shield. The dragon advises him to gather some fine mithril. The princess says she'll prepare it for him immediately and does so. Liam uses his spells and it's finally completed. The princess is happy with the beautiful result. Liam asks her to make a contract with him by spilling some of her blood on it, allowing the statue to enter her body. Now she feels an overwhelming power. They make the contract and she becomes stronger and lighter. Afterward, Liam and the princess go to the Black Dragon to try and make a contract with him. Liam now has a special appearance and much greater strength. He uses his power, but in the end, he exhausts all of it. And that's where today's episode ends. Stay tuned for the next episode. But before anything else, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to receive all the latest updates. The Animime episode begins with Liam, and we provide a brief overview of his life. Liam is 12 years old and the fifth son of the noble Hamilton family. Despite being completely different from everyone else, he suddenly became a child but doesn't know the reason behind this. His family was on the brink of collapse, but he used his status as a noble to spend his days practicing magic, which he became deeply fascinated by. Liam is extremely talented in magic and has mastered all kinds of spells, no matter how difficult they were. Then, Abel Raymond taught him a lot about how magic works, and after that, Liam made contracts with Asuna and Judy. He later broke the dragon's chains and fused with it, and then he made contracts with fairies, naming them to protect them. He built a village for them in the Sealed Lands, and some werewolves also joined the village. After that, Scarlet appeared and became Liam's servant. Liam then started building his own nation seriously in the Promised Land, which was no longer sealed. Later, we see Liam with Scarlet and Radin. Liam asks Scarlet to take Radin with her for a while. Scarlet agrees, and Liam places Radin in a box. He decides to return to the village, but Scarlet will stay in the royal capital to continue investigating the movements of the state. Upon returning to the village, Liam finds everyone working hard, having completed the first phase of building the village. Then, Rena comes to Liam, telling him that she heard from Chris that a group of trolls lives nearby. Liam is shocked by this information, as these huge muscular creatures are between 2 to 3 meters tall, and he heard that their personalities are divided into two opposites, violent and kind. Liam decides not to let them cause any conflict with humans, so Rena suggests he convince them to join them. Liam agrees with this good idea and asks her where they are located. She tells him their exact location, and Liam goes to their land. While exploring the area, he finds it rocky, even though it was fertile just moments ago. He discovers that this land is rich in raw iron, filled with numerous and dangerous resources. Suddenly, a large group of trolls attacks him. Their leader asks who he is, and Liam introduces himself, telling him that he's building a country here and has come to recruit them. The leader doesn't believe him, as he knows humans lie and never trust them. Liam begs him to trust him, assuring that he won't mistreat them. He wants them to join the elves and werewolves. The leader ignores Liam's words and screams at him, ordering him to leave or they will kill him. The leader attacks him several times, but each attack fails. Liam realizes that the leader is very strong and wants to fight him, but he doesn't want to harm him. Suddenly, Liam is trapped in a pit and realizes the leader had lured him there so he could kill him with one strike. The leader strikes him with a powerful blow, but nothing happens to Liam because at the last moment, he wore Raiden's magical combat armor, which protected him completely. The leader is stunned, and as he looks around, he sees his friends lying on the ground. Liam tells him that he nearly hurt his friends in his anger. The leader then decides to listen to Liam and wants to know what he wants from them. Liam responds that he is building a new village on this land, currently inhabited mostly by elves and werewolves, and he wants them work. There are many reasons for this, but in the future, many humans might come to this land, and if Liam doesn't act, they could be hunted. He doesn't want to see that happen. The leader asks to see the village first, and Liam uses teleportation magic to take them there. The leader is amazed by this, and Liam explains that teleportation is a high-level spell. At that moment, Chris sees them and becomes extremely angry when she sees the leader. She doesn't want him to be there, so she strikes him and knocks him to the ground. Liam is surprised by this and doesn't understand her relationship with the troll leader. She explains that he always annoys her, so she fights him whenever they meet. Chris mocks the leader for getting hit by her, claiming that he has become very weak. Liam replies that he hasn't weakened but actually grown stronger because Familiar developed her strength into that of a werewolf. Chris is happy for her, now stronger since becoming her master's follower. She advises the leader to contract with Liam since he lost to her. Liam agrees and contracts with the troll leader, naming him Guy. Once contracted, Guy changes dramatically. He becomes more refined, speaks in a formal manner, and his size shrinks, though his inner strength increases significantly. Chris decides to fight him to test his power. Every strike from Guy is enough to kill an ordinary person, but Chris, with her light movements and sharp attacks, keeps up. This high-level battle astonishes all the trolls as their leader has become much stronger. Liam's power has evolved Guy from a regular troll into a creature called a Gigas. Liam then decides to name the rest of the troll group and does so, turning them all into Gigases, who join his village. They now possess the defensive and combat strength Liam will need in the future. Next, we see the Gigases carrying large stones to the village. Chris, unable to lift even one stone, is helped by Guy, who effortlessly carries the heavy stone due to his increased power. Chris gets angry and tells him that this doesn't mean he won. She storms off. Liam begins bringing his monster friends to extract metals and melt them, discovering that most of them are iron with some copper, gold, and silver. However, he is disappointed by the small amount of high-grade mithril he collected. He recalls what his dragon friend told him about mithril being a rare metal in the human world, and it's often not found. He wonders if it's possible to make the magical combat armor from just mithril. The dragon advises him that each piece requires at least some mithril, and the other metals aren't strong enough. Despite the warning, Liam insists on trying, even if it might fail. His friends continue mining and working together while a gnome begins crafting a mold, pouring in molten iron. Liam uses Radon's magical power on it and recalls the magical combat armor he created for Scarlet. He realizes the armor is much stronger, so he decides to name it Apollo, meaning the sun. As the armor takes shape, it resembles the sun. He remembers that every time he named something, it became stronger, and maybe the same would happen with this armor. Liam successfully creates the armor, but by the end of the day, he becomes frustrated as he wants to make more armor, but he can't think of enough names to give them. The next morning, everyone trains. We see the troll leader sparring with Chris, and he has become so strong that he can easily block her swift attacks. Liam watches the fight, thinking they would perform well in any future battles. Suddenly, a gang of bandits arrives, eyeing the elves and planning to capture them. The leader of the gang declares that they can live a life of luxury if they capture these girls. He says to the elves, "We won't treat you harshly if you don't resist." Liam attempts to launch an attack, but Rena stops him and secretly speaks to Mina, giving her some instructions. Mina goes to the bandits, pretending to surrender. When the gang leader reaches out to her, she strikes him hard, knocking him to the ground. The other bandits prepare to defend themselves, but Mina overwhelms them with incredibly fast strikes that none can resist. Liam is overjoyed to see the elves, once weak, now being relied upon. He realizes that with the armor he's making, they'll become 20 times stronger. However, he gets frustrated again, wondering how he'll come up with enough names for all the armor pieces he plans to create. Suddenly, the leader of the bandits grabs Liam and threatens everyone, telling them not to move or he will harm the boy. However, he doesn't know how powerful Liam is. The others aren't worried at all because they trust their master and his strength, knowing the bandit is very weak. Liam responds saying, "The bandit could try, but it won't end well." The leader pulls out his weapon and strikes Liam with a powerful punch, but Liam effortlessly overpowers him, knocking him out in an instant. Everyone rejoices, saying it was expected from their master, who is incredibly strong. The rest of the gang, terrified by Liam's terrifying power, quickly flees. Liam then returns to another world, summoning many Celsius spirits. He asks them to separate seawater into fresh and salty water as the village's population has increased and they need a lot of water to survive. One of the Celsius spirits doesn't carry out the task, and Liam is confused. Akin is the problem, but she asks if he remembers her. Liam recalls that she is the first spirit to evolve from Winden. She thanks him for the evolution that expanded her world and asks if he could grant her more power and contract with her. In return, she will repay him quickly. Liam agrees and contracts with her, naming her Celsius Zero. Her power increases significantly, and now she has the ability to possess bodies. He then summons Gnome and Salamander to melt more metals, and he tries experimenting with the ability to possess bodies on Celsius Zero. It works, and he successfully creates a magical combat armor with a mid-level water spirit inside it. The next morning, everyone trains intensely, and Liam is thrilled because the prototype armor turned out stronger than he had imagined. The others are excited as well because they have become far stronger than before. The three spirits thank Liam profusely for the new armor. Liam tells them that if he can make more of these magical combat armors, they will have the strength to protect the entire state. And with that, today's episode ends. Stay tuned for more episodes of this amazing anime, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get the latest updates. The episode begins with Liam and his friends, who ask him where he went without telling them, as they were very worried about him. Liam apologizes, explaining that he was occupied with many things that delayed him. They accept his apology and then ask for the money they had previously entrusted him with. Liam takes them to his house to give them the money, but when they arrive, they find a large chest filled with gold. They are shocked by the sheer amount of it and ask him where he got it. He tells them that Princess Scarlet paid him in exchange for keeping quiet about Radon. They respond that they wouldn't have told anyone, even if she hadn't paid them, as they are contracted with him and cannot reveal anything if he orders them not to. Liam explains that the situation is a bit different, but reassures them that all this money belongs to them. They refuse to take all the gold to their home, believing it's safer where it is. Afterward, Liam takes them to the tavern, where they give him a unique magic book, the only one in town that has no owner knowing he needs it. When he opens it, he finds numerous spells inside and is overjoyed. He thanks them as he has never encountered such spells before. He then tells them about the country he is building and gives them a choice. They can either join him or stay in the city and continue hunting. He acknowledges that it is a big request. Asuna responds with excitement, saying they will definitely follow him wherever he goes. Liam is delighted. He tells them he will take them there later because he needs to train with the spells in the book they gave him. He feels confident that they will work. He then summons a dust box to practice one of the spells, and he successfully masters it. Asuna asks what the spell does, and he explains that it is similar to the item box spell, allowing him to store an unlimited number of items, though the capacity depends on the user's strength. Jody asks what the difference is between the dust box and the item box. Before Liam can answer, their lunch arrives. Liam decides it's the perfect time to test the dust box. He places a piece of food inside and retrieves it a minute later. However, the food emits a foul odor. He explains that anything stored in the dust box spoils quickly. The girls are surprised, thinking the box is useless. Liam starts pondering its potential uses and suddenly gets an idea. He finds freshly squeezed grape juice, adds some yeast from the dust box into a bottle of juice, and waits 5 minutes. When they open the bottle, they smell an intriguing aroma. They realize the juice has instantly turned into wine. Liam understands that the dust box can be used to mass-produce fermented products like soy sauce or pickles in a short time, making the spell extremely valuable. He then places 10 bottles of grape juice on the table, labeling them from 1 to 10. He stores them in the dust box at different time intervals, one bottle for 10 hours, another for 9 hours, and so on, with the last bottle stored for just 1 hour. When he retrieves them, Jody tastes each one and determines that the wine from the first bottle has the flavor of 1-year-old wine, while the 10th bottle tastes like 10-year-old wine. This means that 1 hour inside the dust box equals 1 year of aging. Later, Liam takes them to the country he is building and introduces them to his friends there. Everyone welcomes them warmly and prepares a celebration. The event features a cooking competition between Chris and Guy. Chris prepares a special werewolf dish, roasted monster lamb, while Guy cooks a traditional dish from his people, roasted monster beef. Rena also makes a unique elf dish, mushroom and herb soup. Everyone enjoys the feast, happily eating together. The next morning, they head to a forest filled with fruit trees to gather various fruits for making beverages. They collect many unfamiliar fruits, and Liam thanks them for their help. Suddenly, Rena angrily scolds Chris and Guy, telling them that they picked all the fruit from the same trees, preventing the next harvest from growing. They apologize. Out of nowhere, a man attacks them. Gone Guy's friend bites him, and Liam uses his strength to strike the attacker. However, the man flees deep into the forest. Suddenly, Gon wakes up, but he behaves strangely and tries to bite Guy. Guy attempts to calm him down, but it's no use. Liam quickly casts a spell on Gon to cure him, and he returns to normal. Despite this, they are unsure of what happened to him. Jody then explains that she recognizes these symptoms. He was infected with a vampire curse. Vampires turn others into their servants by biting them, and once someone is infected, no one has ever been able to cure them. But Liam succeeded. Guy interrupts, saying he doesn't believe this is a vampire. As vampires cannot move in daylight, they turn to dust when exposed to sunlight. Jody begins to suspect something even more dangerous, the existence of a Dracula. Asuna asks what a Dracula is, and Jody explains that Dracula is a mutated vampire born once every few centuries. Under Dracula's leadership, other vampires become stronger, losing their weakness to sunlight. Liam tells them we'll gather all the information first. Suddenly, a man rushes in, shouting, "We found them!" A group of vampires has been spotted 10 kilometers north of here. The rune falls into silence as he continues. There are more than 10,000 of them. Fear spreads among everyone. Liam speaks up, his voice tense. "That's 100 times our numbers. It looks like other inhabitants of this land have been absorbed into their ranks." Foy adds, "I saw ghouls and demons among them." Then Judy says, "They've taken control of the other factions, and they're moving during the daytime. That means we can assume Dracula is involved. But vampires are usually reclusive creatures. They don't act like this." Chris interjects, "Dracula must have driven them into a frenzy. We have to defeat them before they cause more destruction." The townspeople murmur in fear. Even if we defeat them, anyone bitten will turn into a vampire. Their numbers will only keep growing. Liam steps forward and declares, "Warn the nearby villages. Tell them to evacuate before the battle begins." I'm counting on you all. With that, everyone prepares for the inevitable fight. As they move out, Liam thinks to himself, the situation just got a whole lot worse. The scene shifts to another location. One of Guy's men speaks urgently. The townspeople listen to us seriously. They didn't lose to weak vampires. But then the vampire army attacked. The ghouls resisted fiercely, but they were overwhelmed by sheer numbers. One by one, they were turned into vampires themselves. Suddenly, a different kind of vampire appeared unlike the others. As soon as he stepped forward, every vampire knelt before him. Then he did something terrifying. He revived all the fallen vampires. The man continues, his voice shaking. That might be Dracula. The moment I saw that, I ran straight here. Liam looks at him seriously. We can't let you turn into a vampire. Azona chimes in, so as long as Dracula is alive, the vampires will keep reviving, but getting close to him is nearly impossible. Liam interrupts, determination in his voice. Thanks to this information, we now know how to fight them. We're stopping them now. The battle begins. Vampires flood the battlefield, but Liam and his allies fight with everything they've got. They unleash their full power, cutting down the horde one by one. Suddenly, Dracula himself appears. Liam locks eyes with him and immediately uses his teleportation magic, grabbing Dracula and warping them deep into the forest. Dracula looks around in shock. His army is nowhere in sight. Liam smirks. I separated you from your forces. We're 100 kilometers away from where we were. This ends here. Dracula chuckles darkly. You think you can defeat me? No one can stop me, not even if all the races of this world united against me. Liam attacks first, unleashing powerful strikes, but Dracula blocks every single one. In an instant, Dracula vanishes only to reappear behind Liam. Liam grits his teeth. That teleportation spell again. He summons his spear, aiming for Dracula's heart, but the attack fails to land. Before Liam can react, Dracula lunges forward and sinks his fangs into his neck. But just before the bite takes full effect, Liam activates a dispel spell, breaking free without being turned. Liam thinks fast. His ultimate move, Fire Guardian's shield, could overpower Dracula, but it would burn through all his magical energy in seconds. He can't afford to use it unless he's certain of victory. He tries every form of magic he knows, but Dracula simply won't die. I exist outside the laws of this world, Dracula sneers. I am neither alive nor dead. My body is just a vessel feeding on the life energy that floats through the air. As long as this world exists, I cannot be destroyed. Dracula launches another attack, but Liam acts first. He unleashes the dust box. In an instant, Dracula is trapped inside. Dracula growls in rage. Let me out this instant. Liam stays silent, watching. How long can Dracula last in a world with no life energy? 10 hours pass inside the box. That's 10 years. Dracula's body enters a state of suspended animation. Liam wins. With a single spell, he defeated Dracula. This is better than 100 fireballs, he mutters. He returns home, victorious. Later, we see Azona resting in bed. She's caught a cold. Judy hands her warm clothes. Here, put this on to warm up. As soon as Azona wears them, she feels better instantly. Judy smiles and brings her a bowl of soup. Drink this, you'll be fine in no time. Meanwhile, Scarlett's assistant tells her this product is a big hit with people. Scarlett tries on the same warm clothing and beams with joy. It's so cozy. And that wraps up today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. See you next time. The episode begins in the nation that Liam established, and as Liam arrives, he senses something strange about the vampires there. He asks his friends what happened, but they tell him they don't know. Suddenly, the vampires just stop moving. Asuna approaches one of them and accidentally breaks one of his fangs. It shatters easily. Libak quickly realizes that this must have happened because he defeated Dracula, who was controlling them. Now they are free from his influence. Suddenly, the vampires let out piercing screams. Liam doesn't understand why, but Raiden explains that Dracula's magic was controlling their bodies. Now that his power has vanished, they may disappear as well. Liam quickly gets an idea. He decides to use a dispel spell, which removes all magical effects. He casts the spell, successfully saving them, but some vampires remain unchanged. Drown reminds him of his own spell, which is said to be stronger than 100 fireballs. Determined, Liam prepares his magical battle armor. His goal is to amplify the dispel spell into a wide-range effect. After activating it, all the vampires are freed from their suffering. However, Liam collapses from exhaustion. An hour later, he regains consciousness and asks how long he was out. His friends inform him that it was only for an hour. They also tell him that the vampires are fine, but something strange happened. Light burst out from Liam, and even the ones who were disappearing have returned. At that moment, Chris arrives to check on him. Liam reassures her and explains that he used an immense amount of magical energy all at once. Then he instructs his friends to gather only the original vampires, not the turned ones. Once they are assembled, Liam realizes their numbers are quite small. The girls explain that there weren't many of them to begin with, and their population only grew to 10,000 over time. The vampire leader steps forward and thanks Liam for what he has done. Then he takes responsibility for everything that happened and offers his own life in exchange for the forgiveness of his people. Liam tells him that he has no intention of blaming anyone. He knows Dracula was controlling them, but now they must adapt. He offers them a chance to walk in the sunlight once more and invites them to join his village. The vampires hesitate to respond. Liam then warns them when morning comes, they will either be destroyed by the sunlight, having lost Dracula's protection, or they will have to continue living quietly in the shadows as they always have. He assures them that he is not like Dracula, he won't force them into submission. All he asks is that they follow two simple rules. 1. Do as he instructed. 2. Do not cause any internal conflict. If they followed these rules, Liam wouldn't force them to do anything else. The vampires agreed, so Liam used his spells to allow them to walk freely in the daylight. Just as he had modified his magic battle armor, he also adjusted the evolution process caused by the familiar bond. Then, he cast a contract spell on them, evolving them into noble vampires immune to sunlight. More than 4 days had passed since the battle. Liam gazed at the box where Dracula had been sealed. It had been 100 hours, and yet Dracula had not reappeared. Meanwhile, the guildmaster sat with his assistant, struggling to believe that Dracula had been slain by a mere human. They had planned to use Dracula as an excuse to deploy their forces. The guildmaster instructed his assistant to spread a different narrative. The real issue now was the man who had defeated Dracula. They didn't know how he had done it, but the guildmaster was certain Liam wasn't an ordinary human. He was a monster in human skin, wielding 19 simultaneous spells and the power of a dragon. He ordered his assistant to gather more information about Liam, keep him under surveillance, and prepare to take over his land. The next morning, Liam sat in the garden after forming a contract with 10,000 monsters who now lived in the Promised Land. He didn't mind their presence. The real problem was that he couldn't think of 10,000 names for them all. At that moment, the Slowens arrived, slime-like creatures he had named through his familiar bond. They had since evolved into slime doss. They played with him for a while before Liam took a walk through his city, where everyone was working hard to build a peaceful life. The elves had refined their skills and contributed greatly to construction efforts, so Liam appointed Rena as their leader. Meanwhile, Guy and his Gigases patrolled the Promised Land, ensuring security, while Kree and the werewolves excelled at hunting, providing food for everyone. Liam had assigned tasks to all, ensuring the city's progress. During this time, Guy approached Liam, informing him that a group of humans had arrived nearby. They claimed to be merchants from Questador and requested an audience with the ruler of this land. Liam agreed to meet them, but asked Guy who this ruler was. Guy simply replied, "You are our lord." Curious, Liam asked everyone present, "Who is your lord?" In unison, they all answered, "Liam." At that moment, Radon stepped forward and officially declared Liam the king of this land and nation. A wave of joy spread among the people as they celebrated his new title. Later, Liam visited Scarlet, who reported that she had been investigating the situation in the kingdom of Jamil during the past few days. However, she had failed to uncover anything. Even so, she was certain that the kingdom was hiding something. They clearly did not want to give up this land, but their reason remained unknown. Liam contacted Radon, asking if he had any idea what the kingdom was concealing. Radon, however, had no clue. Liam speculated that it must be something related to humans, while Scarlet guessed that it might be something so common that even the dragons hadn't considered it noteworthy. Liam believes that knowing the kingdom has no plans to leave this land is information enough. But now, what will the queen do? Will she accompany him? The queen tells him that she will continue her investigation for a while longer. Liam wishes her safety and then immediately departs for his village. Back in his village, Liam speaks with Radon, the dragon, suspecting that he knows the truth but is keeping it from him. Raiden smirks and says, "Your observation skills are impressive for a 12-year-old. But if you can't answer this question, then you're just like me. Right now we're even. So tell me, what do you think?" Liam, however, genuinely doesn't know. Radon then asks, "Do you understand what it means to be a guardian?" Liam thinks for a moment. A guardian? He assumes it must be similar to his magic battle armor, something that protects him. But that doesn't make sense. You're a great dragon, Radon. You don't need protection. The battle armor is a weapon, not a guardian. But then, what does a guardian actually protect? Suddenly, an idea strikes him. Without hesitation, he rushes to a certain room. Raiden instructs him to fill the space with magic energy. Since Liam's power had increased significantly after the last battle, he should have enough energy now. Liam activates his magic, and instantly a hidden portal opens, revealing a staircase leading underground. Liam descends and finds another room similar to the previous one. However, this place feels different, almost like a magical encyclopedia. It seems like another ancient storage device. Rodden confirms Liam's suspicion, explaining that this is indeed an ancient storage device. This space itself is the same size as that device, which means there are powerful spells stored here. This is the Dragon's Hoard, a place where ancient and forbidden spells gather. Liam is awestruck, his excitement surging. This is incredible. Rodden continues, and this is just the beginning. As your magical power increases, more seals will break. You are the first human in centuries to unlock this place. Hearing that there are even more spells hidden within, Liam's enthusiasm skyrockets. Without wasting time, he activates one of the spells within the chamber. At once, 19 spells activate simultaneously, and glowing orbs appear before him. Curious, he touches a few of them, only to see them vanish. Within moments, all 19 spells disappear at once. Raiden warns him, "Your magic has been nullified." Liam tries to cast another spell, just a simple fireball, but nothing happens. He attempts multiple spells, one after another, yet none of them work. This place nullifies all magic he tries to use. Determined to overcome this, Liam summons his contract spirit, a duplicate version of himself. The clone then activates the spell by bursting all the magical bubbles at once. The spell successfully activates. Now, understanding how this works, Liam steps outside the magical chamber and begins training with the spell, preparing himself for whatever challenges lie ahead. Liam then summons the item box and pulls out an enormous rock. His duplicate version immediately activates the ultimate power shield, smashing the rock into tiny fragments. Determined, Liam creates multiple copies of himself to strike and throw rocks at his clone, while using the ultimate power shield repeatedly. The shield can only block one attack at a time, so Liam realizes he needs to create barriers as fast as his enemy can launch attacks. In battle, hundreds of arrows could fly at him simultaneously, so he must enhance his speed and usage rate. The dragon suggests you'll need to increase your magical power even more in order to block any magical attacks effectively. Liam ponders how he can improve this powerful spell. After deep thought, he decides to use up all his remaining magical energy to develop this shield. He repeatedly tries, refining the technique until he succeeds in enhancing the shield. When he activates the shield again, Raiden is astonished. Liam has managed to master this ancient spell. Liam continues his training, summoning many copies of himself, throwing rocks and testing the shield. Now the shield is perfect, no attack reaches him. Rodden, amazed, says no one has broken the seals in these ruins for centuries. But you not only unlocked them, you've also enhanced this ancient spell all on your own. As evening falls, Liam glows with powerful magical energy and light. He tells us, "I'm letting my body adjust to this sensation and training so I can sense any magic around me." With determination, passion, and unwavering resolve, Liam masters the ultimate magic shield spell. And so our episode concludes. Stay tuned for more episodes of this amazing anime. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on everything new.
Our episode today begins with Liam and Asuna, but she is in a hurry, urgently asking him to come to Point 17 immediately. Since the city has grown larger, they have designated certain points for meeting up to facilitate movement. Liam teleports instantly to Point 17, where he finds Guy and the soldiers waiting for him, all lined up in formation. They inform him that envoys have arrived from the Principality of Balta for an important mission and have requested an audience with him, as he is now the ruler of this land. However, Liam still hasn't gotten used to the idea of being its king. The envoy approaches him, greets him, and introduces himself as X-Blast. He explains that his lord, His Highness, has sent him here with a request. Liam must marry Lady Flora. Liam is shocked, as he hasn't even considered marriage yet. X-Blast tries to convince him, saying that she is a beautiful lady. Then, Lady Flora steps out of the carriage. Her blue hair, blue dress, and large eyes leave Liam stunned by her beauty. The envoy then says, "If you wish to marry her right now, Lady Flora is fully prepared." Liam invites them to the city to discuss the matter more comfortably, but at that very moment, something strange happens. He senses something approaching at high speed. Reacting instantly, Liam activates his absolute shield and blocks the attack. However, he still has no idea what's happening. The dragon informs him that it was a suicide attack, a self-destructive monster created by humans. Had your reaction been even slightly slower, the dragon warns, you, the girl, and everyone else would have been blown to pieces. But who was behind this attack? Can you guess, my friends? Write your thoughts in the comments. Liam looks around, searching for X-Blast, who had been there just moments before the attack. Could he be involved? After all, nobles are always unpredictable, and they are capable of such schemes. Determined to investigate, Liam orders Guy to ensure Flora's safety at all costs and to tend to the wounded soldiers. Then, he swiftly heads to Scarlet's palace and asks her maid if she is present. Using teleportation, he takes Scarlet with him to the scene, hoping she might know something. However, she tells him that she has never heard of a noblewoman named Flora before. When Liam recounts the entire story, Scarlet's expression changes upon hearing the name X-Blast. She reveals that she knows him. He's the right-hand man of the Principality, but he also engages in covert operations. She theorizes that it might have been a setup, When Liam agreed to the marriage, a targeted monster suddenly appeared and exploded near him. Perhaps the plan was for you to marry the girl, take her to the land of monsters, and then die tragically at the hands of a creature. That way, they could easily invade this land. Scarlet then tries to identify Flora and realizes she knows her well. Flora is actually an illegitimate child, unrecognized officially by the Grand Duke. At that moment, Flora regains consciousness and desperately tells them to stay away from her. I am cursed. Even if the explosion didn't kill me, the curse will. I don't want to drag you into this, Liam. However, Liam uses his abilities and effortlessly removes the curse. Flora is overwhelmed with gratitude. She had been told that the curse was permanent and that it would eventually turn its victims into monsters, forcing them to obey the one who cast it. The dragon remarks that this situation resembles what Dracula once did. Liam then asks Flora if the principality has ever taken hostages, but she assures him that such a thing has never happened before. Liam reassures her that he will protect her, so she must stay with them. Later, Scarlet tells Liam that the 3 neighboring countries are underestimating him too much. She believes that displaying his power is necessary now. But what should he do? Should he make a show of strength? Liam doesn't know what to do. Should he pick a fight with someone? Scarlet responds that his first step should be issuing his own currency. She then presents him with a statue, explaining that it is a magical combat armor she crafted. Unlike ordinary designs, every piece of this armor is meticulously crafted, down to individual measurements. Seeing its quality, she is convinced that Liam must issue his own currency. She then shows him 3 types of silver coins. When Liam examines them, he notices that one has sharp, clear details, while the others appear less distinct. Scarlet confirms his observation. The coin with the clearest details is the original Jamil coin. The other 2 are mass-produced versions, created using molds taken from the original. These lower-quality coins are manufactured in different regions for general circulation. The more times a coin is reproduced, the less defined its features become. Because of this, the level of detail in a coin reflects both artistic craftsmanship and national power. In other words, if they produce coins with details as sharp as the originals for distribution, it would serve as a powerful display of strength, more effective than engaging in war. Liam is convinced and decides to mint his own currency. Once he finishes producing a large quantity of coins, Scarlet inspects them and finds no flaws in their design or the purity of the silver. This is an impressive demonstration of his skills. Now, they need copper coins, but if they use pure copper, its value when melted down would be higher than its value as currency. Liam asks what people usually do in this situation. Scarlet explains that bronze, an alloy of low-value tin and copper, is used for minting copper coins. In Jamil, they use around 65% copper. If they reduce this ratio, the material will become too hard, so this percentage is ideal for balancing detail, clarity, and value. Liam then uses his magic to create silver-colored coins. Scarlet notices that he has used 50% purity, something no one else in the world can achieve. Producing coins with such high clarity at 50% purity is unheard of. Afterward, Jody and Asuna take the newly minted coins to the guild to present them. They inform the guild expert about Liam's newly established nation and announce that these will be its official currency, soon to be circulated. They then ask about the exchange rate. The expert agrees to assess them but insists on examining the coins first. Upon inspecting them, he is stunned by their high quality. He can hardly believe it. Everything, from the purity of the silver to the clarity of the engravings, surpasses the Jamil silver coins. Jody then asks him to inspect the copper coins as well. Once again, he is amazed by their exceptional purity. He informs them that if all the coins are of this quality, their value will be 3 times that of Jamil's currency. Later, Liam receives a letter from the Hunters Guild. Because his nation is situated in monster territory, the guild considers it a dangerous place. Scarlet arrives, curious about the letter's contents. Upon opening it, they find that Alberfit, a noble, has heard about Liam's city and is willing to overlook the fact that Liam didn't visit him for a formal greeting. However, he demands to meet Liam soon to discuss a deal. Scarlet is furious, but Liam calms her down. In her frustration, she tears up the letter as if it never existed. She tells Liam that Alberfit is not the head of his family and is likely acting on his own to atone for his past mistakes. Therefore, Liam shouldn't feel obligated to comply with his demands. Shortly after, Liam's older brother Bruno arrives in the new city and is amazed by its beauty. He tells Liam that he wants to discuss business. Scarlet suggests they talk at her new residence, so they head there. During their conversation, Bruno requests permission for his family to conduct trade within Liam's territory. He assures Liam that they will abide by his nation's laws, pay taxes on time, and operate strictly within legal bounds. He recognizes that Liam's land is surrounded by Jamil, Questador, and Balta, and he believes it will prosper under Liam's rule. He also predicts that this place will become a key trading hub, which is why he has come to submit this request. Liam understands his reasoning, but he also complains about Alberfit. Even though Alberfit is not the head of the family, he arrogantly demanded to meet Liam. Meanwhile, Bruno, despite being from a poor noble family, personally traveled here and humbly lowered his head before his younger brother. In the end, Liam grants Bruno's request. After all, Bruno was the first person to believe in him when he rose to power, his only ally in the palace. Liam then communicates with Scarlet through telepathy. She advises him on 2 key points. First, he should treat Bruno with kindness in all matters, including taxes and establishing a base of operations in the city. Second, he should deal with Alberfit and the Hamilton family with strictness. He should be kind to those who treat him well, but be firm with those who underestimate him. If necessary, he must use force. After the meeting, Bruno returns home. Scarlet praises him to Liam, noting that despite his young age, he is highly respectable. Unlike Alberfit, who abuses his position for personal gain, Bruno has always approached Liam with sincerity. He has risen from being a 4th son of a noble family to the head of his household. even if it is a poor one. Unlike Elberfit, who exploits his status to make selfish demands, Bruno carries a strong sense of responsibility. The dragon then says, "That's why I once suggested to the first king of Jamil that nobles should be stripped of their titles every 3 generations. Scarlet responds, "That's an incredible idea. Most nobles work hard to achieve something because of this system." The dragon continues, "You asked for that girl's opinion before hearing the full details. You did so because of your position as king. A wise king, as I understand, seeks the counsel of his followers when he doesn't understand something. That girl is brilliant. Her suggestion wasn't wrong." Liam asks, "Do you mean using currency to showcase my artistic craftsmanship?" The dragon replies, "Yes, but it will only be effective against intelligent opponents. If the leader of another nation is like your older brother, you'll likely be invaded by fools multiple times in the future." Liam responds, "Then I'll have to fight, but my current combat style won't be enough. Mages are defenseless while casting spells." The dragon tells him, "You have the ability to cast spells simultaneously. You're obsessed with magic. If you didn't think about it day and night, you wouldn't have reached this level. Every weakness can be countered. You must continuously strengthen yourself using your magical energy. Instead of shaping it into spells, simply use your magic as a direct source of power. Can you sense the flow of magical energy in others?" Suddenly, a mysterious girl emerges from Liam's body, startling him when he realizes she's female. She says, "I'll show you an example. Watch closely." She then demonstrates her magic, casting spells without incantations. Liam, fascinated, declares, "I'll do the same. I'll strengthen my legs without casting a body-enhancing spell." To his surprise, he successfully performs the technique on his first attempt. The girl is amazed by how quickly he learned. "This makes you worthy of my training," she tells him. "You must push yourself to your limit and collapse when you're exhausted." She then uses magical bubbles on Liam and instructs him, "You need to learn how to control your magical energy. Try imbuing these 5 spots with magic. Assume your current magic level is at maximum. Now adjust each spot to 20% within 10 seconds. Liam concentrates, and his magic level rises from 100 to 110. The girl then says, "Now, try setting your left hand and right foot to 25% and your left foot to 15%. Liam struggles, commenting, "Coordinating different body parts is difficult." The girl smirks. "I thought you'd lose motivation right away, but if you master this, you'll be able to cast 19, 23, or even 101 spells at once by adjusting their power accordingly. Some enemies might be capable of using something like Absolute Magic Shield or Reflecting Spells. I'll need to cast multiple spells while launching others." She then tells him, "That's a challenge for the future. I plan to train you and help you overcome 2 additional obstacles. Perhaps you really are a genius when it comes to magic." And with that, today's episode comes to an end. Stay tuned for more episodes. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.
Our episode today begins with Liam continuing his training. Raiden reveals the secret of the spell, explaining that Liam must distribute his magical power properly to control it. Raiden, the dragon incarnated in that girl, congratulates him, saying he's on the verge of fully mastering his magic. Then Raiden asks, "Are you ready for the second stage?" Liam, shocked, replies, "Wait, there's a second stage? I'm already exhausted." Before he can react, she suddenly enters his body and exits again. When he asks what she did, Raiden tells him that he'll understand everything once he completes the next task. Raiden then hands him a glowing blue magical rope, an artifact that will help him control his powers. Liam must now focus all his energy on this task, matching the energy he feels through the rope. As he does, he senses Raiden's power and realizes that his own magical strength is equal to the dragon's. Shocked, he exclaims, "I thought your power was way beyond mine." Raiden replies, "When I entered your body earlier, I left behind some extra magical energy. Now we are completely equal. Well done. You've passed the test. Now there's one final trial." Raiden instructs Liam to unleash as many simultaneous spells as possible. When Liam does, he is amazed by their immense strength. Raiden tells him that his power and abilities have increased significantly, proving his success and mastery of spells. Raiden then imparts some wisdom. If a person possesses power alone, but cannot control it, that power becomes brute force, capable of destroying everything in its path. However, if one combines strength with flexibility and intelligence, they become balanced and skilled. No one will surpass them because, in the end, mastering one's craft and using wisdom before physical strength is the true path to greatness. Keep this in mind from now on, and you will achieve great things in the future. Liam gets excited about the days ahead. He always craves new challenges. The scene shifts to the city, which has now grown significantly. Liam holds regular meetings with officials of the nation he established. They have nearly completed work in the northern region, so they plan to send more workers to the east. Liam asks if they need anything. Maria responds that they only need salt and water. Liam reassures her, saying, "That's simple." Maria then asks, "Can I ask you something? Where do you always get such a massive supply of water and salt?" Liam explains, "I extract them from seawater. It's easy. Using the elemental box, which can store over 1 billion cubic meters of water, I collect seawater from the ocean. Then I refine the water, extract the salt, and evaporate the liquid to condense it into fresh water." Then Scarlet speaks up. She has a direct question for the dragon. Liam relays, "Raiden, the dragon is listening." "What's your question?" Scarlet asks. Are there any salt lakes or places where we can extract rock salt in the Promised Land? Through his voice alone, Radon responds that he believes such a place exists southwest of the city. He explains that wild cows and sheep often gather there, and since these animals are drawn to rock salt, the area likely contains it. However, he promises to pinpoint the exact location once he examines the map and confirms it through exploration. With that, the meeting comes to an end. Scarlet then shares an interesting fact. The area doesn't have any natural water sources because, according to legend, this land was once connected to the ocean. But during the War of the Three Dragons, Radon dropped a massive landmass into what is now the Balta region, creating the current inland landscape. Later, Liam meets with Radon again and brings up something Asuna mentioned earlier. She said it would be nice if we had an ocean, but it's impossible for me to just dig one out. Reshaping terrain on such a large scale would require an immense amount of magical power, and I don't have nearly enough to make that happen. After about a month of hard work, Liam gathers the city's people and some workers to dig a basin where water can collect. When Asuna takes a sip from it, she immediately notices that the water is salty. This means it's seawater, not rainwater, possibly coming from an underground spring or an unknown source. If that's the case, the basin might actually be connected to the ocean, ensuring a constant and self-replenishing water supply. They celebrate this discovery by spending the day swimming, playing, and having fun. The sun shines brightly and everyone is truly happy. After they finished playing in the sea, Liam met with Scarlet. She informed him that her subordinate had just brought her unfortunate news. The IG region in Jamil was suffering from a severe drought. Liam pondered the nature of the drought for a moment before telling Scarlet that they could provide water for them. With Celsius, they could produce all the water they needed from the sea and transport it easily using the elemental box and teleportation. Since Jamil was a neighboring nation, coexistence was the best path forward. He then told her that she would be his envoy, delivering this offer to the king. Tell them we will provide them with all the water they need. We don't want anything in return. This is a natural disaster. After Scarlet left, Liam spoke to himself, reflecting on what she had taught him, strength and kindness together. Because of her suggestion, he was able to establish a currency to showcase his skills, and now he could name it. Instead of forcing others, he would show them that he could use his abilities for their mutual benefit. At that moment, Liam communicated telepathically with one of the girls. She told him that he truly had the qualities of a wise king. He sensed that she wanted to say something more, as her emotions seemed unsettled. She then reassured him, "What you're doing isn't wrong. Even if they are enemies, helping them during a disaster is a wise choice. But many people fail to make wise choices. The higher a person's status, the more their pride interferes, leading them to make foolish decisions." Liam found her words very convincing. At the same time, he realized she was implying that the king of Jamil might not be a good person. His friend then added a phrase, "Kindness is a curse." It was something she had once heard from a person, and she believed it explained many foolish actions. Liam grew worried about her words, hoping that nothing bad would come of this. The scene then shifted to Scarlet and Liam once again. She explained that their nation had the means to handle a disaster of this magnitude. Liam asked, "How exactly are they dealing with this catastrophe?" She replied, "So far, they've evacuated the refugees to surrounding areas and sent supplies there, but they can't transport such a large amount of water." Liam kept thinking of a way to transport the water. If it rained, that would be ideal. The scene then transitioned to Liam and his brother Bruno. Bruno, a noble from Jamil, was told that Liam needed his help with disaster relief. He agreed, as this would be a great achievement to uphold the family's reputation. Bruno quickly realized Liam was referring to the drought in IG. Liam then informed him that the king of Jamil had refused his offer of assistance. "So I need you to be the one who officially provides the aid and distributes the water," Liam said. Then Liam revealed the elemental box, preparing to use teleportation to reach his destination and supply barrels of water, which his brother would distribute. Bruno responded, "Providing enough water for all of IG will cost a lot of money. If possible, can I get a few days?" Liam replied, "I can pay 10 silver coins from Jamil. That's the average daily wage of a manual laborer. In 3 days, they'd earn that amount. It's fair pay." However, Liam had acquired the water at a much lower cost since he got it directly from the source. Since this was a disaster relief effort, he was only charged for labor costs. Bruno left to handle his tasks, and shortly after, Liam's friend contacted him telepathically. She warned him, "They're already trying to keep an eye on you." That Jamil official said they're here to coordinate the princess's wedding, but in reality, they want to monitor you and ensure you leave IG alone. Liam was surprised. "I didn't expect them to go this far. I've never even been to IG, so I can't teleport there. And if I'm being watched, I can't act carelessly." At that moment, Guy entered with an update. They've sent men to various locations. They're surveying the actual route to be taken for the princess's wedding preparations. Liam immediately understood. "You mean the envoy from Jamil?" Guy nodded. Liam sighed. "Let them do whatever they want. As long as they're not doing anything suspicious, we'll put in minimal effort to keep an eye on them." Guy acknowledged his order and left to carry it out. Liam thought to himself, I can't even use my illusion right now. How can I stay here and secretly send an illusion to IG? He decided to try summoning his illusion. He managed to summon a duplicate of himself, but when he attempted to alter its appearance, nothing changed. He tried again, but still no luck. His friend advised him, since your magic power is now balanced, you need to use a proper spell. Taking her advice, Liam cast a high-level replica spell from the companion contract. This allowed his illusions to evolve according to his vision. He ended up replicating a girl, Amelia, the singer he admired. Liam instructed her, cast some spells. Amelia successfully performed multiple spells, proving that Liam's illusion could now cast magic under her name. Now, Liam thought, I can transport water to IG without anyone discovering the truth. Amelia assured him, you can count on me for anything. With that, Liam sent his illusion in Amelia's form to carry out the disaster relief mission in IG. And that wraps up today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell to stay updated with all the latest content.